But if evolution is real, and if there is this constant, I don't know, but it's visible. Like you can measure it in certain animals.
You can measure adaptation.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that in fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution. The theory of evolution as articulated by Darwin is like kind of not true. Right?
In what sense?
Well, in the most basic sense, the idea that, all life emerged from a single cell organism and over time, and there would be a fossil record of that, and there's not. And
there's not a fossil record of transitionary species, like species that are adapting to its environment.
There's
and
tons of record of
Right.
adaptation, and you see it in your own life. I mean, I have a lot of dogs. I see adaptation in dogs, through the
Sure.
Litter to litter. But no, there's no evidence at all zero, that, people, evolve seamlessly from a single cell amoeba. No, there's not. There's no chain in the fossil record of that at all. And that's why you don't actually hear people, you hear them make reference to evolution because the theory of adaptation is clearly, obviously true. But Darwin's theory's totally that's why it's still a theory almost 200 years later, No, we have not found that at all. And I can't even guess. I mean, I have my own theories on it, but they're not proven.
What are your theories?
God created people, distinctly, and animals. I mean, I think what every person on Earth thought until the mid-19th century, actually.
Right, but
it's not a new idea.
They didn't have computers. They didn't have a general understanding that we have today of the process.
Do you think we understand more now?
Yes.
Really?
You don't think that we understand more today?
We understand way less. We understand so little that we're actually sitting here allowing a bunch of greedy, stupid, childless software engineers in Northern California to flirt with the extinction of mankind.
Good morning, my beauties and bees. Good morning, good morning. It is Saturday. It is September 21st, and it is 9:38 a.m., and we are live from the Hive. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Thank you for coming back. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know why you people keep coming back, but thank you for coming back. We just stopped doing the show if people didn't show up. Which, all things considered, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. I just gotta keep beating that drum that ignorance is chic. With the right, it's bizarre. Proudly reject modernity for Bronze Age mythology, I guess. To each their own, but glad I could bring that to you. Yeah, the goth goat is just my new thing. I just love that little goth goat. So cute. Good morning, everybody. Got people rolling in now. I didn't advertise today's show as much, I guess. Kind of barely got it going, to be honest with you. I'm having a shitty day, shitty week. Yeah, just things aren't going great in my personal life at the moment. So glad I could take this moment here to escape. Give me a little escapism. Mwah. Well, thank you so much, everybody who returns every Saturday morning to come hang out with us and see what kind of weirdness I get myself tangled up in. And today's no different. I got weird on top of weird, and then of course I got boobies. The reason I actually blame the Daily Atheist because he has that sketch with the cowboy character who says they love blue-footed bastards, and I'm like, you know what? There's more than just blue-footed boobies, and let's talk about it. Boobies are pretty cool birds. I think that we should explore them and learn more about what they're like and what their ecology is and what makes them unique. So that's coming at the end of the show. That's going to be my little wrap up of Breeze Bestiary for you. So that's where we're going to end the show. But we got a lot of show to get through before we get there. We got Cryptic Corner, which, as you can see, what happened? Why did all my Chrome screens just vanish? That was bizarre. Restore. Okay. That was really weird. Like they all just all my Chrome screens. I didn't click anything. They just disappeared like somebody hit close all Chrome. Let me see. I'm gonna pin that here. Okay, everything seems to be back up. Okay. Whew. And then we do the Weird With It segment after Cryptic Corner. And today on that, well, I'll say, so on Cryptic Corner, we're doing Skinwalkers. And then after Cryptic Corner's done, we're going to start talking about these Anunnaki tombs. Yes, Anunnaki tombs. And we're going to get really weird with it over there. So stick around. I'm pretty excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it too. It's rolling into spooky season, so the shows I do now a lot of them will be, well, I think I got actually all the Cryptic Corner premiering during spooky season scheduled now. We got a pretty good schedule robustly. I filled it all in last night. So for Cryptic Corner this Halloween season, we have starting on October 4th, we'll have The Lost Lore of Sinkhole Sam, and then on the 11th, we have Beware the Kuwak. Then on the 18th, we'll have Killer Clowns of Genesis. Killer Clowns of Genesis. That's probably one of my favorite video titles. Then on the 25th, the Mongolian Death Worm wraps up the October season. So nice spooky stuff all coming at ya. So stick around for that. If you enjoy this type of content, stick around the Hive. Yeah, you can hit the like button on any of these upcoming premieres, and it'll let you know when they're starting. Also, hit the channel subscribe button. It lets YouTube know you actually like me. Instead of just tolerate me. So hit the like button, the thumbs up. If engagement is really what makes a difference. Aw, thank you. Was this? Let's look at partial clip of your name here. Constellation Pegasus. That's 1999. Oh my gosh, so much appreciation. Love you so much. Really, really do. We do all kinds of weird stuff over here. Spread the word. Bring your friends. This is where we unwrap all the pseudoscience and folklore and kind of just unpackage it and see what the truth is about everything. As far as we can tell with what evidence is available. And that's all the segments on the show, right? Every segment on the show is built on that. Now, initially, when I was talking about this, I started off doing or wanting to do like video essay style content on cryptids, right? Or started off doing I shouldn't say they're cryptids, cryptids and folklore. I did two short video essays when I first started my channel, one on murder hornets, and then one on Java Fofi, the giant Congo spider, which we just covered again here recently. And I made two little, they weren't long or anything. They were, I think the Java Fofi one was stupid short, and I hated it, how short it was. That's why I kind of redid it. But the murder hornet video was just about 15 minutes long, just explaining all the BS around it. It didn't do real good, but it got me interested in making content. And once I got hit the ground running making content, I decided that while I was doing my research on all these things, that there was enough bad information videos out there that I'm just going to cover those instead. So that's how we started off with the segment Cryptic Corner was finding bad Bigfoot videos or videos claiming silly stuff about. One of the first ones was a black vulture because they're moving into areas that they hadn't been in before, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it's some kind of cryptid black bird," and it's just a black vulture. They just don't usually come this far north. Anyway, I'm getting into Cryptic Corner stuff without even being in Cryptic Corner, so I might as well just pop right over there, and I'll see you guys over there. Okay, I'll see you guys in Cryptic Corner. Just a short little intro, and then we'll be rolling into the Skinwalker topic. Hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we are venturing back. It hasn't been long since we were there, but we're venturing back to the American West for another classic figure of American Western folklore, mythology, and especially cryptozoology and the occult. So come along for this wild ride with me today as we explore the world of the Skinwalker. So this topic actually comes to you from the one and only Titan Uranus. Titan Uranus usually doesn't pop up this early on in the show. They are busy moderating late into the night, and this is generally they're still asleep at this time. I have enjoyed you in my side chat since the brain bug days. Yeah, this channel's been through a lot of evolution, There's a lot of things that I've thought about bringing back in some capacity. Like I've even thought about just doing like a 45-second or minute-long bug of the week clip, just with to play or to pop up during intermissions. You can bring back bug of the week, but not as a segment, but as an intermission slide with maybe video clips or something if there's something good out there. I don't know. I didn't. The problem I had with bug of the week was when I did it as standalone content, it didn't get any views. Now the same thing happens with Bree's Bestiary, right? But doing the animal content is something I'm passionate about. And it does go hand in hand with what I'm doing here with the rest of the show, because the animals have about as much myth and bollocks about them as any cryptid does, really. Yeah, Titan just had a birthday, too. Happy birthday, Titan. But yeah, Titan brought us this topic, the Skinwalkers, because there was apparently a Skinwalker sighting recently, and we're going to have a look at that, and then we got a lot more Skinwalker stuff to dig into even after that. So here's what they sent to me. It's from the Daily Mail, so grain of salt, but just to get an idea. The mysterious four-legged Skinwalker creature spotted in the U.S. state baffles wildlife experts. Of course, it's Texas. The mysterious creature, spotted near a rural town community in the dead of night, has left wildlife officials baffled. The chilling black and white footage was captured by trail cam outside Dublin, northeast of Dallas, showing what appears to be a small animal walking on 4 legs that were different sizes and had lumps down its back. Michael Dumas, Demel, 49, from nearby Schulenburg, showed images of the creature to friends, family, and neighbors who suggested it was a skinwalker, alien, or even a chupacabra, a notorious blood-sucking cryptid from American folklore. Texas Park and Wildlife Department was none the wiser, telling Demel that due to the quality of the image, a positive identification of the animal is not possible, adding that it was too small to be a whitetail fawn. The camera captured what appears to be a small creature walking on 4 legs, but a closer look shows the legs were different sizes and that it had lumps on its back. Some have suggested it was a skinwalker. Yeah, these are the pictures. And we'll go back to the pictures in just a second. I want to. We do have to dive into the story a bit before we get back here, because I think they start getting into chupacabra, which I don't think is the proper place to go for this story. So we're gonna stop before we get too deep into that. But I have 3 different cameras at 3 different hunting areas. They catch coyotes, deer, bobcats, rabbits, raccoons, and foxes, Demel told Pin News. I look at approximately 100 plus pics from 3 cameras daily, but that was the only photo that showed up, the only photo it showed up on. My first reaction was that it didn't look right, so I stopped on the picture and zoomed in. My first instinct was that it was a monkey. A monkey in North Texas. Right. The eerie creature appears to have a long snout, small top of the head, and lumps down its back, which is why some of my friends claim it was a skinwalker. Skinwalkers are part of the Navajo legend that states they were once healers and people of medicine who were corrupted by their own power and turned to evil, becoming supernatural beings. The Navajo word for skinwalker is Yunalushi, which translates to by means as it goes on all 4s. The story, which was told to Navajo children, states that skinwalkers can transform into animals, possess another being, or disguise themselves. The human form skinwalkers are reported to have glowing red eyes and animalistic qualities barely concealed behind a human face. I showed it to a neighbor's family and friends, and everything I got was from skinwalker to monkey to chupacabra and alien, Demel said. You hear stories of chupacabra in southwest Texas. Yeah, the chupacabra we've covered before, but this is going to just tell the folklore about chupacabra. But yeah, so there was that in these photos. So as a hive, let's look at these photos and see what we think. So here's 1. Here's 2. No, I don't need a picture of Michael Dimmel or that, whatever that is. We're going back. Okay. All right, so we basically just have the 2 pictures. So we got this one, and we got like a zoomed in version of it. So it's just 1 picture. So we went from 4 pictures down to 1 picture with 2 exposures. All right, so we zoom in here and we start to see some squared off pixelation, which does not help with defining facial features at all, because it's going to give sharp edges to what might be curvature and vice versa as it tries to find this creature's body in the darkness. Okay, as the exposure focuses in and out as cameras do. That's why they do it really fast now. They used to take forever to do it, but get all the depth and layers of light. But it's gonna get things like, well, like this. It's gonna be anomalies, right? This may be from the grass in front of it. It may be maybe from its underside, but we don't know if this is actual stomach. I am seeing an ungulate. I don't think it's a monkey. I don't think it's lumpy. I think that that's because, again, we're getting pixelation in a small area, right? Zoomed in. This squaring off the edges and rounding off the edges and making everything look all funky. Which is why this picture here is actually going to give us a better idea of what we're looking at, where it's not zoomed in and contrasted so deep. Now, when you look at it here, to me, the lack of a tail or any tail shadow kind of rules out most small carnivorans, but it leaves to me a now this may be a bit presumptive, but the back legs look very powerful, almost like, could this be a jackrabbit, which would explain the lack of tail. Now, no ears are captured, but again, with the way that how zoomed we are, even here how zoomed we are, this isn't the full picture. The ears can be lost, ears can be laid back and then lost in the pixelation on the back. That could be contributing to why the back looks so lumpy as they described it. So a lot of factors come into play here. So like the wildlife folks said, it's hard to do an ID on something so unclear. You never want to give 100% ID on something like this. But the cryptid community will take something like that and they run with it. If you cannot tell what it is at all definitively, then it gets to be whatever they say it is, which is weird because, again, yeah, this could be a fawn. I could see this being a fawn, like a deer fawn. I could see this being a jackrabbit caught mid-stride with his ears laid back. The powerful hind legs kind of make me feel that way about it. It could be a goat kid, as much as it could be a deer fawn. It was as clear as of an image that we have here. Now, another video like this did pop up in my feed recently, and this is from just last month. So let's check this out. It's called Real Life Skinwalker Caught on Security Camera. Now we're going to be paying attention to the upper left here, okay? Alright, here we go. Now, ignore the moths because those aren't the cryptids. Like, sometimes the moths are the cryptids, but tonight they're not. Tonight they're not. Tonight they're just the moths. There it was. Oh, hold on. Was that it? I think I just saw the light come on. Yeah, I didn't actually see it move. Just saw the light come on. Something's moving out there because the motion detector light came on, but I digress. Looks like they're putting up solar panels. There it was. Look at it moving back there. There it is. Clearly, that's a Dimetrodon, though. Right? You can see its back, it's the sail on its back as it walks out of its blur. Right there. See that? Dimetrodon with its back sail on its back. Not a doubt in my mind. This is a Permian mammal-like reptile. Look, there's the sail. See it? There's the sail on its back, and there's its little body. Hey, Paul. Good to see ya. It's got to be, right? That's got to be a Dimetrodon, not a Skinwalker. There must have been one of those rifts from Primeval that opened up. It kind of walks like a reptile, too. Like, almost like they took... Look, see? Scuttles away. Why you gotta scuttle if you're a Skinwalker? Okay. So it first appears right there. And it turns and goes towards the back. So... let's see. Okay, appears as a blur about 26-second mark. Appears as a actual physical figure at the 28-second mark. But again, I don't know what's going on with the way that they've edited this, but it looks like it has a sail on its back, or like a Dimetrodon or Spinosaurus to me. Let me see if I can get you guys closer look. Just a second. I'm going to try something. Let's try this. Can't we get you guys in closer just for a minute? Just for the moment. Let's get you as close in as possible on our Dimetrodon. Alright. There we go. Are we going to... closer. Let's get closer. We get any closer? Yes, we can. There we are. Yeah, let's do it like that. All right, so we're gonna go back. We'll go back to 22 seconds right before it appears, and I'm gonna slow. We're gonna slow this down all the way to 0.25. Let's see what we got. Alright, let's see. Honey, this couldn't be debunked years ago. I zoomed in a whole bunch, but if you looked at the video at the top, it was actually from the 18th of August of this year. Here we go. It appears as a blur. Right there. And then it's going to scuttle. I swear it looks like it has a sail on its back. It's probably deer. But it could be a person too. Keeping low. A person trying to keep low. It's probably Luke Skinwalker. So that's our Skinwalker right there. It might be a little Spinosaurus too. It scuttles right there though. I like the way it scuttles. Where slowed down it doesn't look like a scuttle. Slowed down it looks like just a stride. But when it's going normal speed, it becomes a scuttle. Check it out. Normal speed now. Appears, comes out, turns, scuttles away. Oh, no. Wait, hold on. Maybe this... I think you might be right. Now that I've got it zoomed in like this, that's a canter, right? It gallops away. It doesn't scuttle. The pixelation makes it look like it scuttles. But, yeah, it goes into a full trot. It's a white-tailed deer. Oh my gosh, I can see its tail flag. Look, watch. When it turns and runs, tail flag goes up. It's a white tail. And the sail is actually the deer itself. Its body is just whiter than you think it, than you feel like it should be, but when it turns and you realize what part of the deer you're looking at, it's not even capturing the top part of the animal right there. The top part of the animal is in the shadow. The only part of the deer you see is the fawn underside. That's why it looks so weird, and that's why it's got the sail, because the sail is the fawn blending into the darker coloration on the back of the deer. So what I was seeing is the body was the fawn side underneath, the white part of the white tail underneath is like on its belly and crotch, and then the sail is actually the body of the deer. What I was seeing is like a sail, it's like the body of the deer, but you really see it when it turns to run away at that 28-second mark, because it throws its tail up like the white-tailed deers do when they want to escape or when they're doing their predator evasion motions. Yeah, this is new, blessed be he. Let me show you. I'll show you. It's got a date on it. It's date stamp. This is brand new. I'm gonna shrink it back down now. We don't need to be zoomed in anymore for the rest of the segment. I just wanted to get as close as possible to this one. All right. Yeah, so you can see it's date stamped up there, 8/18/2024. But yeah, there are lots of trail cam footage that look like this that have been debunked. So it looks like a lot of them. So the only reason I pull this up is because I had this one pop in, you know, to my feed, and then it's like, oh, these two can go together to help me cover this story where this guy talks about skinwalkers. Now this is on the paranormal file is what we're going to watch here. He's just going to explain what the Lushi are here at the beginning, but he's got his own channel, so we're gonna watch some of this too, and listen to some of his sightings. He's at he works with the Navajo medicine men, I guess, on banishing spirits and stuff like that. He does paranormal investigation. So his name's Shanklin, and it's Shanklin Shadow Productions. But let's see what Paranormal Files is going to interview him real quick. I'm going to skip over their intro about what a skinwalker is, I think.
Has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. The term skinwalker is never used for healers, and it's actually frowned upon to even say the word out loud. While we were in Arizona shooting our new series of paranormal investigations, I knew I had to call my friend Shanklin, who has actually had physical skinwalker encounters himself. The stories that he's about to tell you are guaranteed to blow your mind, as he discusses times he's found skinwalker relics, he's hunted skinwalkers with others, and even recalls the time a skinwalker tried to kill him. Like I said before, some of these stories get really dark, twisted, and disturbing. You're going to learn a lot, and you might sleep.
God, I love the desert. Love the desert. I cannot wait to move to the desert. Is that weird? Most people are like, oh, I want to go to the beach. And Bree's like, I want to go to the desert. And they're like, but to the beach, there's sun and surf. And I'm like, but in the desert, there's spiders and snakes and skinwalkers. What's a girl to do? Oh, but I just love the landscape. Now, I hope to find some skinwalkers someday. Or to at least do some exploration of these areas. What am I wearing? Just regular blouse. I think my mom got me this blouse when I first... Yeah, when I first came out to my mom, she took me thrifting and got me this blouse. Isn't that wild? Gotta love my mom. It's great, you know. Some people come out to their mom and they're like, oh, they disowned me or whatever. My mom's like, let's go thrifting.
A little lighter tonight. You're watching The Paranormal Files.
I think so. All right.
Looks good.
Let me get a little closer so I can pick you up better.
Oh. Yacht, hello, my name is Sean Klin. I'm a Shihinishla, but do Bilagana Bushichin, Kashe, Edashiche, Ado Bilagana, Edashanella. So I introduced my clans, that's where I come from. I'm Navajo, I'm Diné from the Navajo Nation, so I come from up north of where these mountains are here and everything. So I was asked to come do an interview here to kind of shed some light.
I do like how the guy unapologetic puffing on that pipe this whole time. I like his necklace too. That is cool. Looks like it's got some turquoise in there. It's a moon shaped.
On some of the darker beings that hail from our lands up north, as well as maybe have trickled down to the beings here, or the tribes that are down here more to the south, the Apaches as well. So the stories and lore go back of the Skinwalker, the Yanagloshi is its true name. Throughout the year,
running for some irrigation supplies. You're in Texas though, where you have to be careful because there's been Skinwalker sightings, John. Skinwalker sightings in Texas. So when you go out to get your irrigation supplies, just take care. Just don't go into the wilderness alone.
Yanagloshi comes out to the terms in English of jumping the skins. So these are essentially a long time ago, they were medicinal people that used to go to sacred mountains, just like this one that's behind me here. In our Navajo Nation, they needed to travel to the 4 sacred mountains really quickly. So,
I know I'm supposed to be paying attention to what he's saying, but look at this: the cacti, the mesquite bushes, the flowers. Oh my gosh! Just you have to be right at the right time in the desert to watch it bloom. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous! I'm gonna stop fangirling about this landscape and try to listen to what this guy's saying, though. Okay. Do Skinwalkers have day jobs? So I think Skinwalkers are supposed to like live as normal people during their non-Skinwalker times. Like they're supposed to like live like you and me.
To be able to perform a bundle ceremony, which is a sacred ceremony that's used to be able to make these bundles that provide protection for certain family members as well as the tribe and kind of the clan itself. Now, for this ceremony to work, they needed to traverse the land in 4 days. So they needed a quick way. This was before vehicles, helicopters, or anything like that was available. So the spirit people taught them how to shapeshift, how to jump in the skins. Now it was used for good back in the day, but
because today Navajo medicine men just jump in their helicopters and fly to rescue people from Skinwalkers. Back then they had to be able to shapeshift.
With goodness always is followed by evil. So goodness and evil both come hand in hand. When it comes to that, you know, I
am looking at the red rocks, Sumami. The red rocks make the cacti pop. The red rocks make the mesquite pop. What is this this bushy cactus right here called? I love it. It looks like it hurts so bad to touch. I love it so much.
Throughout time, you know, it's a very, very...
Now stop getting me back distracted. I do want to bring attention to what he's wearing here on his earrings. There's some statistics about Native American folks. Some terrible statistics that come from different reservations across the U.S., mostly in the West, for the youth. And for just women in general among this population. So this red hand actually does have more meaning than just, oh, it's just a red hand. It actually stands for the lost and missing folks from the res, as the case may be.
Very long process to be able to learn how to shapeshift. It takes years, decades to be able to learn how to shapeshift in the good way, to be able to call upon the songs, call upon the spirits, and to be able to shapeshift into whether it be a coyote, whether it be a deer or a cougar or any other animals that were readily available up there in the tribes. But evil kind of came along to some of the weaker minded medicinal people in training and told them, it's like, okay, I could teach you how to do this in a quicker way. So they told them, you can learn how to do this in a very cut decades out of your training and be able to learn how to do it quickly. It came at a cost, unfortunately. To be able to become a Skinwalker in the evil way.
This is like the most messed up part of Skinwalker lore, right? We're about to hear kind of the secret recipe, the secret to get things rolling. you have to do a soul stone decision. You have to.
There's a lot of steps you have to go through, but one of the major ones you have to go through is the sacrificing of one of your loved ones. Once you sacrifice one of your loved ones, it could be your newborn child, your wife, your mother, your grandfather, your sibling, anything like that, one you find dearest, closest to your heart. Now, once you do that, you have to do a lot of stuff with the body. You have to do a lot of ceremonies with it too, to be able to, you know, go really down to make your contract and, in a sense, deal.
So you have to kill somebody you love and then mutilate their corpse, basically. I mean, I know I said it's the Soul Stone situation, like when you had to throw Black Widow off the mountain in the Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, was it? Anyway, one of those two. It's like a 2-part series. Anyhow, but yeah, you actually have to mutilate their corpse and stuff too. You can't just Segura. Yeah, there's Seguras over here. I can see those. You said the Chola. Let me see. Chola. Is it just one? Oh, 2 L's. Brought up a Chola dynasty. Yeah, the Chola. That's the fuzzy ones I like. The Cholas. No, I've never been in a sweat
with
lodge.
a devil kind of thing. When it comes down to that, then you also have to get your skin. You have to go and really do a lot of evil things. I guess you can say how they do it in the good way. You have to do it backwards and do a lot of crazy things with it. So when it comes to that stuff, you know, there's a lot of stories that go beyond that. So back in the day, it was also used for wartime too. We used to use it against the Utes. We used to use it against Apaches. We used to use it against the cavalry a long time ago. But as kind of time went on, you know, a lot of the good medicinal people started passing away.
You think if there was a lot of Skinwalkers making war on the cavalry in the early years of Western expansion of the American Empire, that there would have been some kind of documentation of it, right?
That's where the wars of medicinal people kind of started happening. You know, that's where a lot of the good medicine men were starting to get killed off by evil medicinal people as well. So that's where you kind of started to see a lot more of the evil skinwalkers kind of taking more of a foothold in the Navajo Nation. Toward modern day, there's definitely not as many, but I can definitely tell you, all you viewers out there who are from the Navajo Nation probably have a story of you living out in a rural area. Nearest neighbors like 2-3 miles away. You're living in your hogan, no running water or electricity. Middle of the night, you hear something walking on your roof.
Oh, everybody around here is a descendant from Indian princesses. My own family descends from an Indian princess. My grandma will tell you. She even will tell you the name and the city she came from and all this stuff. But like every single person around here makes the same claim. Was usually usually Cherokee here in this part of the country. Usually a Cherokee princess. That they all were Cherokee princesses that were married off before the Trail of Tears, right? And that's the story. And you know, I don't know if it's a translation and genealogies about someone marrying a Cherokee girl, and the world that they just that there's some word that they use for it that gets translated to princess. I don't know, but everybody thinks that their ancestor was a princess, and that she was married to some settler or whatever, and that's their Native American descendant or ancestry. Yeah, we're all white people who say that. My grandma's white as snow. I'm white. My mom kind of looks like Native American. She's not though. I mean, we may have a Native American ancestor somewhere, but not enough to matter. And I doubt that any of us that it was a princess. I doubt that any of us. Really had a princess. I don't even know if the Cherokee would have something that'd be comparable to a princess, like the chief's daughter, I guess, like the village leader's daughter. They didn't even call them chiefs. They were just a village leader for the Cherokee people. Yeah. Does George Lucas have a Skinwalker ranch? There is a Skinwalker ranch. It's not the same ranch as George Lucas Ranch, though. George Lucas Ranch is in the Sequoia, the Redwood Forest, or by the Redwood Forest. Yeah, and Skinwalker Ranch is a different phenomenon. Skinwalker Ranch doesn't have a lot to do with actual skinwalkers either, other than that it's in the Four Corners area where skinwalkers tend to. Skinwalker folklore tends to arise, and that there have been sightings related to skinwalkers there, but the phenomena of Skinwalker Ranch is much more complex and much more much more built on modern white people sightings as opposed to Native American folklore. It's very, very weird, but most of it is just colonizer nonsense.
You hear scratching and all that on your door. So there's a lot of those stories that in modern day kind of run around and all that. So you'd be running around, you'd be driving on the reservation, and you see these dark things, you hear their dog whistles, you hear them coming around. So that's one of the things is it's very, very...
There's some coyotes.
And there's a coyote right there as I'm talking about this. So,
coyotes.
You know, it's one of those things that, you know, even kind of us talking about this, whenever they say in our tribe.
Yeah, you wouldn't even, like, if you went back, Native atheists, and I'm not trying to tell you your business. I know you're Native for real, and not just somebody with ancestor back in the early 1800s that was probably a slave. Difference between you and your Native American ancestry and mine. But what I understand is that what we call Cherokee today isn't even actually one people group, but like a coalition of people who lived in the from the coastal hills of the Carolinas west into the mountains of Tennessee. And maybe a little bit, and I think they expanded down into like Georgia and maybe Florida, but they're not a consistent single homogenous group of populations. Like the Navajo are for the most part a single people group with a single ancestor. The Cherokee, I believe, was a coalition of different people groups that kind of developed over time during the colonization of the American South by the Spanish. But I could be wrong.
It's taboo to talk about them. But when you talk about them, it's, in a sense, you're making a line of communication. In a sense, you're praying to them. Without you kind of knowing, you're opening up that line of communication. That's how they know. They perk up their ears and they hear you like that. They hear you kind of coming around and doing this stuff, so then they'll come to your house. They can witch you, they can kill you. They have this, they're also called grave robbers as well. So they go to a lot of these cemeteries, they go to some family members, they dig them up, they get their bones, whether that be skin or decay, whatever state the body is in. And then they'll grind up the bones, they'll use bone knives, bone darts, or bone ash, they call it washtet. And then they have the ability to paralyze you as well. So when it comes to that, you know, you'd be sleeping in the middle of the night, they'll paralyze you, then they'll put that bone ash on you. And they say if you don't get a ceremony soon, you're going to die of a curse like that. To be able to inhale a human body like that, it's going to get you sick and kill you.
Yeah, that's like one of their main weapons is like, it's almost like spore related. They like have powder that they at you and it paralyzes you. Next thing you know, you're laying on your back. Crazy. Like German and Irish people mostly have small bits of Scandinavian DNA. That's true too. I mean, my family is largely Irish, but I know we have a little bit of Scandinavian DNA too. I didn't do the DNA test, so one of my cousins did, but same difference. And we actually have a little bit of on that side of the family, a little bit of like Persian ancestry too, which is kind of interesting. So, or Persian DNA or whatever. What's that haplogroup? Anyhow.
So that's one of the things is like going to war, going to bat with these guys. You know, you always have to say,
same D.
You don't talk about these guys, but there's always the second part to that is unless you know how to deal with them. So that's why like me, myself, and my brother, and then a few other warriors from our tribe, we know how to go against these beings. We know how to protect ourselves. We know the songs and ceremonies to go against the evil prayers, the songs, the curses that they put upon us. So that's why we're able to kind of talk about these beings and everything. Like I said, there's a possibility, mainly they'll be in the Navajo Nation, but there are some who have, I guess you can say, are relatives or married into other tribes such as this land down here.
I like the way the magic works in the Serpent and the Rainbow, and I like the way the magic works in Skeleton Key. I guess you could say I like the hoodoo voodoo kind of bend for the way the magic works.
In the Apache lands. So I'm sure the Apaches have their shapeshifters as well. You know, that's why down here, you know, it's not too far away from the Navajo Nation to where there's a possibility of skinwalkers being out here. So that's one thing. You always got to be on your guard wherever you go, and always leave offering, and just be careful not to leave anything behind. You know, they say if you leave your hair, if you leave anything else that's around you, they can go.
I would like to go see Skinwalker Ranch someday. John, it's cool that you got to go. You weren't prospecting, huh?
Gather those objects and they can curse you and witch you after you leave. So that's kind of one of those things. It's like, you know, you would see like a lot of these social media things talk about skinwalkers being all the way in the East Coast, and it's just like, not really. Kind of don't really think it would be a skinwalker. Yeah, there's shapeshifters all over the place. But
well, it wouldn't be a Lushi, but it'd be a skinwalker. Even the term skinwalker precedes, cultures before Navajo contact. Other cultures had skinwalker traditions, both native and European cultures, and Asian cultures for that matter, and African cultures. I don't know about Oceania or Australia. I can't think of any skinwalker lore off the top of my head from those places, but most people had some sort of skinwalker lore. The coolest one, my favorite one, hails from the Amazon with the Boda, the pink dolphin, the pink Amazon river dolphin. Now, it turns into a handsome man and knocks up your girl, right? So when your virginal bride shows up pregnant, you blame it on the Boda. Lots of cultures have shapeshifter lore. Ireland has the Selkie, the seal maiden, and the Scandinavians had their berserkers. Obviously, Middle Europe had the werewolves or lycanthropes of Greek tradition. Skinwalkers, shapeshifters, whatever you want to call them, hail from across the world, across the globe. Now, the Lushi is a very special kind of skinwalker that is specific to the Navajo tribes, but it's not the only type of skinwalker that exists.
Skinwalker is a very specific type of shapeshifter. Each tribe, each race and nationality have their shapeshifters and everything. So I encourage you all, wherever you are, you look up whatever religion or race or tribe is in your area. Ask them. You know, I'm pretty sure they have their names. They have their stories and their origins of where those shapeshifters come from. But that's kind of not so long or not so short, but rundown of what Yanagloshis are.
So, have you had experiences with them?
Oh yeah. It's kind of weird to say. I don't know if you guys are kind of like spiritually sensitive to things, but
I remember when I was spiritually sensitive to things before I got all old and jaded. I used to be part of a ghost hunting troupe, right? That we would go out and go to houses and try to invest. I've actually made just reconnected with a lot of my old ghost hunter friends around the area in the last few months. But that's neither here nor there. We used to, do paranormal investigations and stuff, and I remember, like, oh, do you feel that vibe? And you're putting each other, you're priming each other's brains to experience something. So, yeah, that's what it means when you say spiritually sensitive. Have you been properly primed to think that this is actually going to be happening for real? That is, actually, like I mentioned, Skeleton Key and the Serpent and the Rainbow. That's how the magic works in there. You have to, they have to convince you that it's real before it can work on you. So, it's so crazy because it's like self-affirming, right? Like, I guess most cult and religion stuff.
Normally when the stories go, when that sun goes down like this is when the spirits start to wake up and everything. So that's why you heard the coyote. And then, I don't know, I had a little tinnitus. So whenever you have like tinnitus like that, they say that's when spirits are kind of talking with you and everything like that. So,
or that's when the heat of the day starts to dissipate and the barometric pressure changes, so the pressure in your ears changes as well. Just saying.
Yeah, dude, that happens all the time in our videos. Yeah. Where you say, "Oh my God, my ears are ringing," and then something will happen right then.
My brother is a medicinal person in our tribe, and he kind of deals with the more darker side of
Oh, sweetie, no, it was all psychodrama for me. And I don't even think at the time I really believed in it. It was just psyching yourself up, because I liked that scared feeling of being in like a creepy haunted house where there might be some spooky entity lurking.
Beings, and whether that be, skinwalkers, demons, if you say in English, kind of darker beings like that. So we used to go to homesteads whenever people would be having these beings kind of affect the family in that way. So we were called out to actually one of our relatives' homestead in northern Arizona, near Page, Arizona. And they told us in this place there was a shack that belonged to one of their grandfathers that passed away. And they always kind of felt something weird about that shack. And they tried asking other medicinal people, hey, can you come and, do a ceremony?
See, it's all about vibes with paranormal stuff, with the paranormal investigations. It's about vibes. Like, oh, I feel this way when I'm in this place that makes me uncomfortable. There's a lot of reasons that bad vibes could be emanating from a place, right? We are sensitive to a lot of environmental factors that we aren't consciously aware of, such as infrasound, with structures especially, depending on the angle, the size, the volume, the composition of a space, the way air pressure moves through it, the way that the wind moves through it, the way that your own sounds reverberate through it, creates infrasounds. And infrasounds, depending on where they fall on the spectrum, on the audible spectrum or the inaudible spectrum. Let's not fight in the chat. On the inaudible spectrum, will give you different, will cause different psychological reactions. And they can do this underneath undertones of music or anything. It can be, but they can generate it and people are still sensitive to it. So I know the most famous example of this that they did an experiment was like the cellar space of the Stanley Hotel, where they did some infrasound readings and found like there was the same vocalization range as like a tiger roaring in the distance. Which is an interesting perspective. So that's what I think that's where a lot of ghost hunter stuff stems from. And I think a lot of it has to do with the materials and shapes of buildings and rooms and spaces in certain types of 19th century architecture. Now, other things can contribute to, such as color. Obviously, mycology can come into play. There can be mold that causes you to feel a certain way after spending time in a space. There are different, like old buildings with bad wiring, exposed wiring in areas can have electrical signals that our bodies do pick up on, but we don't know. It's the same as like when you walk, you can feel the static from a TV when you walk into a room with a TV on. That same kind of feeling there, with different shorts and wiring and things like that. Now, groundwater, because a lot of places are built over groundwater, and the way the groundwater might move through the spaces below, artificially and man-made, can again cause more infrasounds or even something that sounds like babbling voices, depending on the structure. So a lot of factors come into play when you're looking at haunted houses and haunted places.
Prayer to kind of chill out the energies are in there, but for some reason all the medicinal people would turn them away. They would say, no, that's too dark, that's too evil, I'm not going to go in there. So they called upon us and we went to go check it out. And this was at the I'd had to have been like 14, maybe 16 years old when I was going out with my brother at that age. And this one was really creepy because this was one of my first times. My brother told me, he's like, there's possible skinwalkers, Yanagloshis out there. So I would always hear stories, we kind of trained to be able to go against these beings. And so it's like, okay, this is, this might be the real deal, so be ready. So, okay. So we show up at the house, and the sun was setting just like how it is right now. And we do like a little bit of scouting recon, and we check out the house and everything. We're just like, okay, we're going to start the ceremony when the sun goes down. So we don on our gear, we don on our protections, we do like a little protection ceremony whenever we go against these darker beings. So when that happened, the sun went down, we prepared to go over to the shack and everything. So, but while we were making our way over to the shack, it was very eerie because it was dark, but there was no moon and there was no stars on a clear day. And living out in the reservation, you always see the Milky Way at night. And it was very eerie because there was just an ominous feeling of darkness surrounding you. So that's what my brother said, this is...
Light works different around the shack, and okay.
It's one of those things to be able to bring fear inside of you. That's what these evil beings feed off of, is that fear. So always stay strong with your prayer and who you are as a person. So I said, okay. So we make our way over to the shed, or the little shack that was there. He told me to wait outside because I wasn't properly trained to deal with cursed objects at the time. I wasn't able to handle them and if they were to jump on me and affect me in that way. So he told me to wait outside. And how they described it, how they told me, is when they opened that door, they saw 3 chests stacked up, like a luggage chest. If you can imagine, like early 1900s, kind of 50s leather chests that had like brass fittings on the sides and everything. So they looked in there and that's all that was inside of it. So the first chest that they opened up, was just some normal clothes, everything like that. And when they put that chest to the side, my brother told me he felt some real dark energy in the next 2. So he looked at me outside the doorway, and what was very creepy about it was because there's no electricity out there. So we parked our vehicles to face the shack. We turned on our headlights, and that was like the only light that you could see. So being in my perspective,
that is, as a former ghost hunter, that is something that we would do too, point our headlights at a house where the electricity wasn't working, and then but we'd also have like flashlights and headlamps and stuff. We wouldn't just go in there with just the vehicle headlights, but we would hit it with the vehicle headlights, so that even before we got to through the threshold, that there was already some kind of lighting going on inside.
If you're standing here, you're looking in a truck with its lights blaring at you, you can only see at the rim of the light right there. You can't see anything beyond that. So he told me, he was just like, if there's Skinwalker
and that is why you could not see the stars. That's why you could not see the moon or stars. I don't know, it may have been a new moon, but that's why you couldn't see the stars.
If there's Skinwalker stuff in here, Yanagloshi stuff, they might want to come and reclaim it. They might not want all the evil prayers and everything that was said and done to be released or get rid of in this area. So he said, be ready just in case something comes running at you. And you would only have, like, it was probably from me, I would have to say about like 10 feet away from me. You would only have that quick amount of seconds to be able to react if something came running at you. So me being one of my first times going out there against Yanagloshis, I was nervous. I was not going to lie, I was kind of scared. So as they make their way to the second chest that was right there, they opened it up and you hear a creak kind of open it up. It was really old rusty hinges. And when they opened it, you heard a woman scream. And there was no women in our party at that night. It was just
me too, Victoria. I'm ready to handle some accursed objects.
The 2 homeowners, and normally the men folk kind of go out and handle the evil and darkness that's out there. So that gave me instant chills when I heard a woman scream. So how my brother told me, there was 4 sacred stones inside of there, as well as a picture of a woman, kind of like a Polaroid picture of a woman in there. Now, to this day, we don't really know who it was. We did give it to the authorities, and it wasn't on a missing persons report or anything like that. We asked the family and the relatives, and they said they didn't know who that was. So to this day, we don't really know who that was, but we did say.
Remember the Time to Wait series that we covered, where they had the suitcase with the woman's picture in it? That seems to be like a creepypasta theme to do. Find an old suitcase and put pictures with some odd assortments put pictures of somebody, like do weird things to it, like cut the eyes out, or just, I don't know, just be all weird.
A prayer for whoever it was. If it was kind of a captured lost spirit, lost soul inside of that chest that was right there, we made sure that she went on to a good place. But after that, my brother said this is the last chest that's right here at the bottom. And when they opened that up, you could feel that darkness shoot out of that shack right there. And already, you know, shaken up by the female scream, you know, you can feel that evil energy kind of come out. And inside of the chest was Skinwalker regalia. So there was the skins inside, there was the antlers that were inside, the weapons and washte that this individual would use when he would go out and skinwalk and everything. My brother brought those out, and he
That's not a skinwalker though. That's like a Wendigo looking thing, or maybe a knot deer in its final form. We do remember the knot deer, right? You guys remember the knot deer?
showed me the antlers, and he pointed out a particular thing. On those antlers, there was 4 blood drops on the antlers. And for the Anagloshis, they say for every kill that you have, you put a blood drop on your antlers like that. So this person had taken 4 lives in his time on this earth. So from that point on, you know, they gather up.
I don't see a lot of Yunalushi with antlers. Like, at least in pop culture, do they generally have antlers? Most of the time I see them like depicted as trying to disguise themselves as coyotes or wolves. And then they always mention that they can disguise themselves as cougars or mountain lions too, but you never actually see that.
The rocks and the stones and the pictures and the regalia, they put the little items inside of a leather pouch that they have, and we took it back to the homestead, and we started a fire. And so my brother said, you know, this is going to be a little ceremony right here that's going to, in a sense, release the spirit of this buck back to whoever killed it in the wrong way. Because in a sense, when you kill an animal, when you go and hunt and you eat it, there's a little honoring prayer, a little honoring ceremony you do to thank the spirit for its, you know, its sacrifice to be able to feed the family. But the Skinwalker and Yanagloshis do the opposite of that. So this spirit had a lot of angst toward its killer and everything. With that, my brother said, when we do this ceremony, these beings that are around, they might want to come and stop us because they know what ceremony we're going to be doing. While we were getting the fire set up, I remember I was chopping wood. I was getting
That's the thing too. A lot of the Navajo rituals and stuff get like sort of angelized, or Catholicized, as the case may be. Like you'll like practices like Santeria, for instance, are a mix between Catholicism and Native American practice. And this is not Navajo practices, but practices from Texacola. Am I saying that right? Texalo? Yeah, anyway. I'm sure I said it wrong.
Already. And the sun was, mind you, the sun was already down, it was dark. And you start hearing dog whistles. And dog whistles you hear like psss, and the dogs would start barking because they sense those evil Yanagloshis around. Once they did those dog whistles, the dogs shut up. They didn't say anything, they didn't bark or nothing, and that's how they can get inside of your home. That's when we knew we were on edge. And nearby that homestead was a canyon or a cliff face that was right there. So on that canyon walls, on the right, if you were to go down the right path, it'll teach you the way on how to become a good medicine man. But if you take the left, it'll teach you how the evil ways on how to be an evil person in a sense. So right in their backyard, they kind of had the training grounds for a lot of these beings. We started the ceremony, and my brother warned me, he's just like, I'm gonna be singing these songs, and I want you to watch my back, because I can't stop. Once the ceremony starts, I can't stop to be able to make sure the ceremony goes good. So if anything comes running at me, you need to handle business and do what you need to do. I said, okay. He started the ceremony, and they had a solar generator at their house, which was...
To be clear, I don't buy into this. Me personally, I don't know if I'm... It depends on how you define atheist, whether or not I'm an atheist, but... do I buy into this? No, I don't. To me, this is the same as all these stories are just carry just as much weight as the burning bush, though, right? Carry just as much weight as Jesus healing lepers or anything like that. I don't buy into any of it. I think it's all mythology and folklore. But you know, as a former paranormal investigator, I'm not taking this video as a religious claim from this individual. He's making supernatural claims. That's what I'm focusing on. To say that there are supernatural forces interacting with the real world that we can experience as living people, and I don't buy into that at all. That's where I'm saying, hey, prove it. Because I've spent years as a paranormal investigator. That's why I'm so jaded about paranormal stuff now.
Was about for the house, and the shack itself would have to be like 500 yards. I would have to stay away from it. So they had solar on their home, so they had a porch light. So the porch light was shining down on the home, and you could see the rim of the edge of the light around the home. And while he started singing, when he started doing his ceremony, I saw what looked like to be a figure, a silhouette of somebody walking at the edge of the light, kind of hunched over like this and just walking and just looking at us. I saw one. and another one showed up on this other side over here.
Rocks.
I got really nervous, but as my brother, this was starting to be the end of the ceremony when more of them started showing up right there. But as my brother was about to finish the ceremony, they all ran. They ran back.
I don't believe in supernatural.
Toward the cliff face where they were, and there was a huge gust of wind. It was a calm night like this. A huge gust of wind comes when he finishes the ceremony, almost blows out the whole fire. And that's when my brother said that's when that buck went straight for where those skinwalkers were. And over at the cliff face that was about a good mile or two away, you hear a scream, a monstrous scream out there. So I guess you can say the buck got its revenge for the evils that was done against him. So that was one of my most intense, I would have to say lightly, encounters I had with the Yanagloshi.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Holy shit.
14 years old too.
Yeah.
Well, guess we gotta have you tell another story, man, since you got multiple, because that's wild. Who do you think was the person who had transformed?
The person that was in the shack?
Yeah.
You don't mind putting this, if you don't put, okay.
Yeah.
Watch
There's
that.
actually, this one, so whenever
Now
we...
that is editing genius right there. He told them who it was, but they had to cut it out.
went against these Yanagloshis or Skinwalkers and everything. It happened in our earlier years in our prime. I'm telling a story. Our earlier years in our prime. So this one was a lot more recent because, you know, when you kind of get up there in age, you know, when you get to your 20s and all that stuff, you're kind of considered old when it comes to that point. So we were actually up in our homeland in Black Mesa, and this was just a normal family gathering that we were having up there. And, you know, our whole family was there. We were building a whole one together and everything. So at this point, you know, they only have like a 1-bedroom home up there, so all my family were there, so they're staying inside. So I was just like, you know what, it's a beautiful night, you see the stars and everything, you know, I'll just sleep in a cot on the bed of a truck. I was like, okay, cool. My uncle slept inside of the truck, inside of the dash and everything, or in the cabin. And so as I was sleeping, you know, it was a beautiful night, nice and cool and everything. So as I'm sleeping, the night goes on, and I notice some noises kind of coming around me, which was kind of weird because we have deer, we have elk, and we have wild horses up there and cattle too. So I started hearing some crunches in the middle.
I very much trust my moderation team. Just to let everybody know, I trust the decisions that they make, and everybody who has a wrench has one for a reason and can make those make decisions on the chat etiquette based on the rules, you know, loosely laid down by this channel. So yeah, let's keep on track. Let's watch some Skinwalkers.
Middle of the night. I would have to imagine it was around like 2, 3, 4 o'clock. It was before the sun was actually started to show in the morning, so it was still really dark outside. So I heard this, and I was just like, naturally, I kind of just like wake up just a little bit, and right at that point was when I started to feel darkness kind of come in. And if you can imagine the feeling of evil and darkness, it's a weird buzzing sensation. It's a weird heat feeling that you feel. And like I said, it was a cool night, so I was just like, why am I feeling warm toward my back? I was laying on my side, and toward my back on the bed of the truck, I started feeling that. So that's when I woke up. My instincts kind of woke me up, and I was just like, I need to check out what this is. But as I got up, I couldn't move. I was like, fuck. So when
Sleep paralysis in a truck bed's gotta suck.
I tried, whenever I'm out there, I sleep with my weapons or my sword that I have, and I tried reaching for my sword, but I couldn't move my body, and I could hear footsteps kind of come up close to the truck, and I was just like, this isn't my family, this isn't my, you know, anyone good that I can recognize. So I tried reaching for my sword, and I started to panic as the footsteps kind of started getting closer, and everything I had in my body to start moving my arm out of desperation of my life, honestly. You know, I reached for my sword and I grab it. And once I grabbed it, it seemed like that paralysis, that paralyzing effect that was on me went off. And I grabbed my sword and I quickly turned and I saw something dark start bolting toward the
Navajo sword. I don't know if he means, what do they call that? I imagine he's probably just got a regular sword, but I don't think the Navajos had swords. I think they had different alternative combat weapons, but you know, modern problems require modern solutions, as they say.
The tree line and everything. But right before I grabbed my sword, I kind of turned my head like that, and I could see what looked like somebody slowly reaching and had his hand over my head, and he was putting. My camera just died. Oh,
hold that thought.
Yeah. Damn it.
Do you need a battery?
It just went from full battery to 0.
What the heck?
I just changed it out in the car.
Yeah,
You need to run and get it. You might need a light too.
Yeah, here. I'll just go run and grab it.
A light.
Gotta be careful.
I'll look at
All right, man. Ran all the way back to the car. You can see it's noticeably darker now that we started filming.
Hell yeah.
All right, you were in the middle of talking about it coming up to you in the truck bed.
Yeah. So right now we're in the time of the spirit realm right now, when the spirits are walking around. So if you see somebody behind me, please let me know.
Will do.
So yeah, so as I started reaching for my sword and I turned around, as I saw this hand kind of over me like this, and he was putting something on my head and on my face. So when I grabbed my sword, he turned and ran. So as he ran, I got up and I started banging on the truck for my uncle to wake up. So my uncle woke up and I was like, Yanagloshi. He got up and we started looking around and everything, and he was already long gone. But then like he got his flashlight, he looked on me and everything, and he saw a white powder on my face, and that was that washte, the bone powder. So that's one of those things that night it was a family occasion. You know, we didn't go out there for ceremony.
That really does sound like a situation of sleep paralysis. That you got hagged. I really do feel like you got hagged. I've been hagged before. I don't think, and by the way, getting hagged is not supernatural. It's psychological. It's where your body goes into sleep paralysis. You freeze up. You can't move or anything, but you can hear and see. But your brain is still generating stuff like you're in a dream. So you hear footsteps. Sometimes you'll see a shadowy figure. It's they call that hag-ridden. Okay, it used to happen to me when I worked overnights in a factory, and then when I worked overnights in a nursing home. On the weekends when I would try to sleep like a normal person, right? That's when it would happen. It would happen in the middle of the night at like 2 or 3 a.m. I would have a visitor come and visit me in the night. But having white powder on his face when he's sleeping in the bed of a truck makes me think maybe it was just dust from the road.
You know, I wasn't really expecting it for something like that to kind of come about. So normally when that happens, you go out to face these things, you put ash on, you put these sacred things on. So I was just a normal time, you know, just going to sleep at my family occasion. So I was ill prepared at that time, but now I know, you know, just be careful when you sleep out there in the middle of the night. So that's something that, you know, it's we had to do a ceremony for me to make sure that I didn't inhale or get sick or from the curse and everything like that. So I always say, when you're on the reservation, be careful sleeping out.
I think the sword would help if it was like the physical body, right? You know, Lucy are still people. They can still, they're like a witch. You can still, you know, chop them with a sword, and it'll kill them. They're peoples, as far as I can tell.
Or just out in the open in the middle of the night. Yeah, it may be beautiful, but you also have to understand that there's things that run around in the middle of the night, even out here too. So I always gotta say, be careful out there, everybody.
That's crazy.
I am one of the things that run around in the desert in the middle of the night. That's me. I'm one of those things.
Wild, dude. Any other experiences?
So the eeriest beings I would have to say that I've encountered and learned about are beings in English called soul eaters. Now, in the spirit world,
that's probably, I think it's his last Lucy Skinwalker story, but he has his own channel too. And I am going to let him tell a brief story. Updates. Yeah, so this is his main channel. I guess we will start here.
I remember just like being curious, and something just woke me up, singing and everything. I remember just like being curious, and something just woke me up. I open my eyes and I look out underneath over there, and there was two feet that were kind of off in the distance. I would have to say about 20-30 yards away. And I was just like kind of looking. I was like, oh, it must be one of our relatives and everything. Must be, you know, somebody outside, because sometimes, you know, people don't go inside. You know, there's other people that are outside preparing food and all that other stuff. And so, you know, this would have to have been like after midnight. So this was early morning, before the morning dawn actually kind of came up and everything. But
have you ever had a sleep study done, Guy? Because it sounds like you have a lot of this happens when you're in that in-between state.
When I was very young, you know, I guess you can say I was really sensitive to a lot of things too. And, you know, I kind of had like a weird off feeling, because like I was sitting there and I was looking, and it didn't move. Whoever that person was that was standing there didn't move at all.
Ankles. The ankles of doom. Doom.
And so, and then I was kind of looking, and my eyes kind of adjusted like a little bit, and it was more so the moonlight was shining that night, so you can kind of see a little bit more of what was actually there. And I remember seeing just two, you know, bare feet that were kind of just standing right there, and I was just like, who's walking around barefoot? They're gonna get stickers in their feet or something like that. And so not too long after, you know, like I was looking, and then like I kind of look up at my mom, and I wanted to tell her and everything, but when I looked up at my mom and I looked back, it was gone. And I was just like, what the heck was that, you know? And I was just like, kind of, my mind and my thoughts started racing a little bit more, I guess you could say. So not too long after, I was just like, I kind of tugged at my mom, and I told her, I was like, hey, I think somebody's outside. And, you know, she was like, oh, it's probably somebody out there and everything. It's probably one of the family members or relatives. And I was just like, okay, you know. So I ended up going back to sleep, and then I woke up again not too long after, because when they were drumming, when they were singing, after one round and everything, they stopped. And I was just like, okay, I wake up, because it's just like, that's more so like my lullaby and everything. So I was just like, I woke up from my sleep, and I was just like, what's going on? And then I hear kind of whispers, and I kind of hear, you know, people talking, and I was just like, what's going on? And so then not too long after, that's when you hear everyone kind of started talking. And then now that I know that they were I'm a little bit older, I understand more of the language. They were talking about, you know, there's a witch outside. They say there's a Yanagloshi outside. When they realized it was of the darker entities that were kind of around, you know, I remember the medicine man told them to continue singing, told them to continue praying. And I remember,
you know, whenever somebody tells me they're sensitive, I can always kind of pick up their vibes that they're not, because I'm really sensitive to people being disingenuous about how sensitive they are.
where he gets up, and then he puts some medicine onto the fire and everything. He puts some cedar down, and he starts praying and everything. And so he says, you know, don't be scared, everybody. You know, this ceremony right here that we're running is going to protect us. This ceremony that's right here is going to protect all our loved ones that are around and everything. So when it comes to this stuff, this is what I was mentioning about how the Yanagloshi and everything, the Skinwalkers, they come around to try to disrupt it. They try to make everybody scared. They try to, you know, do all these different things. And, you know, it's one of those things to put fear in people, to put doubt in their mind whenever they're doing these ceremonies. And so when they do that, you know, in a sense, when you run these ceremonies, your heart, your mind, your spirit all has to be focused on what you're praying for. And so that was one of those things that came to disrupt that. So as it continued singing, the medicine man ended up going outside, and he started singing some songs too. And I remember I was awake, I was kind of looking around and everything. My mom was holding me close and all that. And so he went outside and started singing, doing his songs outside, and he blew his whistle 4 times outside. And now when I say whistle, it's not the same as the Yanagloshi whistles that they use and all that. It's more so of a holy whistle that they blow during these ceremonies and everything. So when he blew that, it was very interesting, because I got chills. I got chills throughout my whole body when I felt that. And then it seems like that literally, you know, it felt like...
Again, how sounds can affect your body is pretty cool, but not magic.
If you've ever been blessed or anything like that by some of our traditional regalia, like feathers or anything, or fans, you know, they bless you, and then they say when they bless you with those fans, they kind of gather up that darkness and that evil, and then they kind of shoot it to the north. They say, pa, 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 and everything. And so I had that feeling when he blew the whistle, the sound frequency of it went throughout my whole body, and my fear that I had. And I had to tell you guys, when I was a little kid, I was very, very scared of everything. And when he blew that whistle, I felt the chills throughout my whole body. And they say that when you feel that, you know, it's getting rid of that evil that's inside, or that fear that's inside. It gets rid of all that doubt. And, you know, I remember those guys inside of the ceremony sang hard, and it was beautiful. It was, you know, they sang some warrior songs in there and everything. And it was very, very, very awesome to be able to have everybody in unison sing those songs together, you know, to go against evil like that. And, you know, and then the medicine man ended up coming back in, you know, they started going around some more, singing some more songs and everything. And it was, I have to say, I was like, that's like one of the first times I ever saw or witnessed, you know, more so of a spiritual battle on a peaceful side of it. And, you know, that's how, you know, our people go against evil like that, is through our prayer. They go against evil through our songs. They go against evil with our traditional, you know.
Now, that's kind of a nice way to go against evil, though, is to do it with songs instead of max executions or stonings or whatever these other religions are going to be telling you to combat your enemies. Yeah, do it with freaking songs.
Jish and our sacred herbs like that, you know. So that's like the old way of how they used to do it and everything. And so like medicinal people and everything, they sing those protection songs, they sing those mountain songs and everything to be able to protect yourself from these things. And so that's how, you know, they were able to drive that thing off, was with love and happiness, you know, with that intent.
That's the closest thing. You're right, Al Trucker. That's the closest thing to spiritual I get, is the way that music affects me, the way music makes me feel. It's weird, because I do think placebo effect can definitely be beneficial for you, for your mental state, which can help with things like your body's immune system and healing process. But it's such a slippery slope. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is your body's down to the DNA level. You have epigenetic responses to external factors that are triggered by things that you're experiencing with your brain. So it doesn't even have to be, the things you're experiencing doesn't have to be real for you to have a biological response to it as if it was.
Of, you know, unified happiness, and just, it was so amazing to be able to witness that as a young child, and it really brought a lot of pride within me for my people, and it brought a lot of pride within me of the strength that we have and showing no fear. I remember seeing all my uncles and grandpas and everybody, they're just like, just ready, you know, they were just like, all right, let's do this, you know. They started singing their songs. I was like, God, man, that's so awesome to be able to see that and everything. And so, you know, that was like one of those things, is just like certain paranormal things like that would happen during ceremonies like that when I was growing up. You know, you would see a lot of good things.
It's the same experience that people have when they go to churches and stuff like that, or when they go to a concert, I guess, for a band they really like. So you can have this type of like spiritual experiences.
You would see sometimes bad things too, but they would never in any of the ceremonies when I grew up were they ever penetrated like that, to where they kind of came in, unless, you know, we're talking about, you know, getting rid of those things in the house, but that's a whole nother story for another time and everything. But to address some of the questions that people had about, you know, Yanagloshis and Skinwalkers.
All right, so we probably gotta wrap this up here because we're already way over on Cryptic Corner, about 15 minutes over, which is fine. This has been a fascinating topic, but I do want to say, you know, you can go watch the rest of this video and see what else he has to say and how he answers his Q&A, which is what he gets into here. But this is his channel, Shan Shadow Productions. Yeah, he makes music too, apparently. So there's some rock music in here. He has a lot of videos about skinwalkers and other spiritual and folklore and supernatural stuff from a Navajo perspective. So if that's interesting to you, yeah, you can watch this. He's kind of like a Navajo Mr. Bellet. I can't remember what his name is. Yeah. Anyway, that's what he does. So what do you guys think about the Skinwalkers? Most of these videos and clips and stills and camera shots and trail cams and stuff, to me, they all look like crap. I've never seen one that convinces me that something was not a existent known animal or a human prank. But, you know, it's not up to me. It's up to you to decide. So you tell me down below, do you believe in Skinwalkers? Do you believe that there are evil witches that can paralyze you in your sleep? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm here for it. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, can you do that for me, please? It's really important for the future of the Hive that we do that. So please. All right. And then, yeah, remember to be kind and take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, Cryptic Corner is not the end of the show by any means. We have more show to come, so don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. I had 30 of you. I had 30 of you here watching, but dropped down to 29. That's okay, though. People got lives to live. But don't go anywhere because we got more. We're going to get really weird with it, with 800-year-old Anunnaki tombs here in just a minute. And I will see you guys over there. So I'm going to go. I don't know if I'm going to refresh my coffee or switch out what I'm drinking. I haven't decided yet. But I got to go to the bathroom first. And then we will continue on with this morning's live from the Hive.
Did the evolutionists just kill a pterodactyl? Or did they finally catch up to the creationists?
Obviously, there's not going to be a ton of talk about these things. And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, you know, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, you know, back in the Civil War. And they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out. And this is a historical fact. So, you know, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. And it's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so, I don't believe that just because, you know, at some point in time, coming from your perspective, that, you know, just because they stopped talking about it means that they never saw it, when we have all this evidence that they've seen it.
Hello, my name is John Pendleton, and I'm speaking to you from Zacatecas, Mexico, center of Mexico. And today I'm going to tell you of my project to attract and capture a real living pterodactyl dinosaur.
But to the Christian, it makes common sense. Of course, there could be a few still alive. That's the first sighting I've heard of in Fort Worth, Texas. I've heard of them in Arizona. A friend of mine knows where some of them live, and he's going to go catch them and put them in a dinosaur adventure land he's going to build. And I can't reveal the details yet.
They're a form of what people call them pterodactyl, but if we consider them descended from some type of ramphorhynch or pterosaur.
Hey, hey. Sorry, it took me a second to get back here. Woo! Anyway, welcome one and all to another show where we're getting a little weird with it. And today, as usual, we have some crazy theories that they're going to be throwing at us. So I hope you're here for it. This is a really bizarre one. I knew about this tangentially. Never really dug into it. We kind of like filed it away with other claims of this nature. But, you know, it's high time we talk about it. So let us dive into the 800 million year old sarcophagus in Siberia. Let's look at the Tsul princess.
Union, a remarkable on September 5th, 1969, at the remote Siberian village of Ryzhavchik in the Soviet Union, a remarkable event unfolded, seemingly ripped from the pages of a science fiction novel.
Это работал какой-то разум, возможно, космический разум. Может быть, это наши предки здесь действовали очень давно, потому что на глубине 70 метров примерно 800 миллионов лет или 600 миллионов лет, как ученые считают некоторые.
As some scientists believe. I always love that. As some scientists believe. And you'll explain why they believe this, but yeah, it's all
surface in the dimly lit tunnels of a coal mine. The miners there worked tirelessly, the same as they did every day, extracting coal at a depth of 230 feet. However, amid the rhythmic clanging of metal against stone, one miner's pickaxe struck something unexpectedly hollow, a sound distinctly different from the solid resistance they had grown accustomed to. Pausing, the miner wiped his face and, with a mix of curiosity and caution, cleared away the debris, revealing a crack in the wall that seemed to lead into darkness beyond. With a few more
they find a secret chamber.
Skilled strikes, the rock gave way, and the miners stood in awe as the wall crumbled, opening into a hidden chamber untouched by light for millennia. Inside, the air was thick with mystery, and their lamps casted a long shadow over a sight that would be forever etched into their memories. They saw a large marble sarcophagus of exquisite design, measuring around 8.5 feet in length and 3 feet in height. Immediately, the head of the mining district, Alexander Massaligin, received the bewildering report from one of his miners. Recognizing the potential significance of the find, Massaligin promptly notified the Soviet authority.
And yes, this is the plot to Prometheus, apparently.
Setting in motion a series of events that would lead to widespread speculation and intrigue. The discovery quickly became the center of attention among the miners, fueled by a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Massaligin ordered the sarcophagus to be extracted from its resting place, 230 feet below the surface, a task that was undertaken with a sense of urgency and curiosity. As the sarcophagus was painstakingly brought to the surface, the miners' imaginations ran wild with visions of gold and jewels that might lie within. At the same time, however, the
fact that they keep calling it a sarcophagus kind of leads us to believe that there's no jewels inside, no treasure, right? If they wanted to lead us to believe that, hey, there might be some treasure in here, they could have led with like a chest, call it a chest, or an ark, the Ark of the Covenant, something like that.
A bit resentful, discussing how the Soviet officials would most likely confiscate the discovery without giving them anything in return, and without even telling them what was inside. Driven by their curiosity, they decided to open the sarcophagus. And what they found inside shocked everyone who witnessed it. Instead of treasure, they found the remarkably preserved body of a young woman estimated to be between 25 and 30 years old.
Выкопали гроб, начали крышку открывать никак не могли. Еле-еле, говорит, ее потом приоткрыли. В гробу лежала женщина. Ну, лет, может быть, под 30 с косой и глаза голубые.
Blue eyes, huh? So she had her eyes open. Interesting.
She lay there as if asleep, her long, wavy, dark brown hair cascading down to her waist. She was wearing a white dress that was strangely translucent, evidently made from a fabric not known to us. Surrounding her was a mysterious pink liquid, and beside her head was a small black metal box that didn't resemble anything the miners knew at that time. Many years later, however, with the invention and development of the smartphone, the witnesses of the event believed the black box next to the woman resembled a device similar to a smartphone.
She had a smartphone, y'all. Like in the 1950s, sure.
The woman's skin was remarkably smooth and clean with no sign of decomposition or age. Her skin was incredibly white, whiter than a person with albinism. She looked more alive and healthier than the miners themselves.
How can you be whiter than a person with albinism? Was she translucent? Albinism's pretty white, pretty dang white.
In fact, everyone was amazed by her beauty.
Увидели, что в нем лежит женщина невиданной красоты с белокурыми волосами.
Ah, blonde hair now. Her hair changed colors. Her dark brown hair has now become blonde. So let's keep up, guys.
Голубыми глазами, и кожа у нее была настолько белая, что она повергла местных жителей в такой небольшой шок.
The sarcophagus stood open for many hours, and almost all the villagers came to see it. One reckless young man, driven by curiosity and perhaps the clear pink glance of the liquid, decided to amaze the people gathered around by dripping his finger into the pink substance and tasting it.
At least it was just his finger.
It turned out to be completely tasteless and odorless. However, in a sorrowful turn of events, just a week later, his mental condition rapidly declined. His disorientation...
Moral of the story is don't eat anything out of a casket. Like at all. Ever. There's never a situation where you eating something out of a casket is going to lead to good things in your life. Just saying.
Became so severe that he was unable to identify his own house, ultimately succumbing to the bitter cold of winter and freezing to death. His death wouldn't be the only one connected to the mysterious discovery. The beauty laying in the excavated sarcophagus soon became known as the Tisul Princess.
They hauled it up, Rick. They hauled it up out of the mine and brought it into the village, and then they're like, we need to open this before the government comes and takes it away. And they popped it open, and then homeboy was like, I'm gonna stick my finger in there and taste it, and yeah, and got sick.
With Tisul being the name of the district in which the village was located. Eventually, the high-ranking officials from the district arrived, along with police officers, firefighters, and military representatives, all descending to the site. Accompanying them were KGB agents in civilian clothes, arriving in a red helicopter. They immediately cleared the area around the sarcophagus, warning the gathered crowd of potential infectious hazards within. Their goal was to airlift the coffin with their helicopter and transport it somewhere where it could be analyzed. Attempts to airlift the sarcophagus proved futile, however, as it was too heavy. They decided to drain the pink liquid into special containers that would be transported separately.
And that container was Vladimir Putin,
making the sarcophagus lighter. When they did that, something astonishing happened.
Uh-oh.
When the pink liquid was drained, the woman's perfectly preserved and lifelike body underwent a startling transformation. The skin changed from white to black in front of the onlookers in mere minutes, making the princess lose her lifelike appearance. This led many to believe that the pink liquid and the sarcophagus itself had some kind of preservation properties that could maintain her body in a state of suspended animation. The Tisul Princess...
It's not suspended animation. If she's laying down sleeping, it's not animation. If she's dead, it's not animation. She's suspended, but it's not suspended animation. She's just suspended. She's preserved. She's like a jar of preserves. Now, in Siberia, a lot of things have been pulled out of the ice and pulled out of the tundra that are very old.
Princess was eventually transported to Novosibirsk for scientific analysis. Several weeks later...
She's like McDonald's fries, right? Once you pull them out of the oil, you got just like a few minutes where they're still good, and then they're done.
A professor from Novosibirsk arrived in Rajavchik to lecture about the unusual discovery in the mine. He disclosed that the preservation state of the princess was unlike anything previously encountered in the field of archaeology or paleontology. The liquid in which she was submerged had properties that defied explanation without any known parallel in natural or artificial embalming processes. Efforts to understand the age and origin of the sarcophagus and its occupant led to an extensive series of tests, including radiocarbon dating and other analytical techniques. However, radiocarbon dating, a reliable method for determining the age of organic materials up to 50,000 years old, was inadequate for the task at hand. The material of the sarcophagus, along with the preservation liquid...
You wouldn't generally use radiocarbon dating for a sarcophagus, and it would be objectively unuseful on something that had been artificially preserved, right? Something that had been chemically treated to be preserved is not going to be able to be properly radiocarbon tested. Heck, some of the specimens we have in museums cannot be carbon tested because the organisms were, I'm talking about like insects and stuff. So they can't even, because they were preserved in alcohol. Great for preserving shape and form and anatomy, so you can study it. Terrible at storing genetic information because it's alcohol.
Liquid and the princess herself did not conform to the expected parameters. Scientists turned to other methods, analyzing the geological strata and employing more sophisticated dating techniques that could hint at the sarcophagus's age. The conclusion drawn from these analyses was nothing short of revolutionary. The data suggested that the Tisul princess and her sarcophagus were approximately 800 million years old, a figure that staggered the scientific community and challenged the very foundation of human history. Such an age would place the princess not just before the dawn of human civilization, but before the emergence of complex life forms.
Right, 800 million years ago. So the Cambrian explosion was about 520 million years ago. So this was well before that. This would have been before Snowball Earth, right? This would have been before, before the Ediacaran. When was Ediacaran? Let me see. When was the Ediacaran period? Yeah, okay, so before the Ediacaran too, because Ediacaran ran to the beginning of the Cambrian, so 635 million years ago. So even before the Ediacaran, let's see, when was the what's the period I'm looking for? Cryogenian? Yeah. Okay, Cryogenian started 720 million years ago. So this is before the Cryogenian. So, I mean, think about that. The Cryogenian, again, Snowball Earth, right? That's when the Earth was the coldest that it's ever been. As far as we know. But it doesn't even, like, these models don't even go back that far. Like when you're trying to figure out what period it would be in. So I'm trying to find out what it was preceded by, but suddenly Wikipedia is going crazy. I don't know what your problem is, but we're going to try that again. Can you take me to the Neo-Proterozoic? It's the second of 3 periods. I don't know what's happening with Wikipedia, but it's not giving me a good time. We're going to continue on.
As we know them. This startling revelation prompted a reevaluation of everything previously understood about the timeline of life on Earth. If the findings...
Did it, though? Why are we just now hearing about this? Why are we not all preserving our family in pink jelly?
...were accurate, they implied the existence of a civilization capable of creating the sarcophagus and the preservation liquid, a civilization that existed in a time when science had thought the planet was inhabited only by the simplest forms of life. The implications were profound, suggesting not only a rewriting of human history, but a complete overhaul of the evolutionary timeline itself. But this wasn't the only theory out there. Some believe that the princess was part of a contingent of extraterrestrial visitors.
Scenes from The Matrix and Prometheus. Yeah, this is really the story of Prometheus.
Who came to Earth from a different place. The completely white skin of the woman was believed to be a sign that she was from a planet with much less sunlight. The discovery of the Tisul princess...
Assuming that her biology needs vitamins from the sun. You're making an assumption about this alien's anatomy. If it's an alien, why are you assuming that it would need solar radiation in any form, or that it would benefit? Yes, the engineers.
Princess opened a Pandora's box of questions, theories, and implications. The story began to spread, and an article about the discovery appeared in the local newspaper. This, however, prompted a swift and secretive response from the Soviet Secret Service. KGB agents returned, ridiculing the story as nonsensical, instilling the idea that there was no such thing and no such discovery had been made. The agents also started confiscating all newspaper copies with the article. The professor...
the Soviets. Good stuff.
...who shared information with the people and the newspaper editor were both punished for daring to comment on an event the Soviet government was trying to hide from the world. After all, this was the peak of the Cold War. No one dared speak about the Tisul princess again, not until the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was then that freedom of speech and independent media were established.
So what is the pink goo? And how is the pink goo related to the black goo? Is the pink goo the good goo and the black goo is the bad goo? And if I need to remind everybody about the black goo, it's been a couple episodes back. Well, it's been more than a couple episodes, but a couple months back. Well, we covered the black goo. We've actually covered the black goo twice because the black goo is a mystery in and unto itself.
And another article covering the discovery appeared. The article was from 2002 and was titled, "The Lady Who is 800 Million Years Old." It appeared in the Khakassia newspaper and then in the Archaim newspaper. The journalist claimed that this story was told to him by a retired colonel of the KGB who had worked in the past in one of the secret departments of this organization. The story once again gained...
Was he the one that ate it? Was he the one that sampled it, that did a taste test? Maybe that was Putin. Maybe Putin was the taste test guy.
...and popularity. Currently, near the village of Rajavchik, not far from the place where the sarcophagus was found, a stone with a memorial plaque has been installed. The sign on the memorial reads, "In 1969, not far from here, a burial site was discovered during the development of a coal seam. In a 2-meter marble sarcophagus lay a beautiful young woman. Based on the age of the coal seam in which the sarcophagus was found, the woman was buried several 100 million years ago." It was even discussed on Central Television, where eyewitnesses from the Rajavchik village who saw the sarcophagus opening with their own eyes confirmed the discovery's authenticity. But there was more to the story. It was later...
It's kind of like the Roswell, you know? So the black goo is what turns you into a super white person if you're swimming in it in a sarcophagi. Is this where the TikTok famous pink sauce comes from? Yes, the pink sauce is made from the goo that was in this lady. Putin doesn't seem to age much. Bree, you're on. Exactly. Is there another goo that will give you a deep summer tan? Well, I think Trump bathes in some kind of orange goo, but it isn't really a summer tan. The pink goo from Ghostbusters 2 was powered by love, though, if I remember correctly.
Revealed that years after the discovery of the Tsul princess, there was a series of peculiar fatalities among those connected to the sarcophagus. Just 6 months after the KGB confiscated the stone sarcophagus.
Time for the curse. The curse, guys. This is we're only halfway into this nut today. This is we got a yeah, orange goo. Ew.
A wave of misfortune swept over the village of Rajavchik, plunging it into a state of mourning. Tragedy struck relentlessly, beginning with Ivan Karnaukov, the man who discovered the sarcophagus of the Tsul princess. His life was cut short in a harrowing accident when his motorcycle collided with a truck.
Так что вот Карнаухов был. Он вообще-то никогда не пил, по крайней мере, сколько я его помню. Потом вдруг, оказывается, объявление было, что он напился пьяный, под машину попал. На мотоцикле.
In a sorrowful continuation of calamity.
Now, I'm not trying to downplay that the KGB had people killed for knowing things they shouldn't know. Green slime, pink fluid, black goo. Okay. Gotta organize them properly.
A month after Ivan's death, a miner met his demise by drowning. The sole survivor of these ominous events was geologist Vladimir Podreshetnikov, who revealed that the discovery of the Tsul princess was not the only one of its kind. In the summer of 1973, military forces once again descended upon the Tsul district, as recounted by Vladimir Podreshetnikov. The troops established a stringent perimeter around the forest, prohibiting access to the locals and patrolling the village streets. The presence of the military was shrouded in secrecy, with the villagers being advised to maintain their composure without...
Everybody's a princess. We decided this earlier, D. Remember? We're all descendant from princesses, and all our ancestors were princesses and kings and queens and emperors and warlords. Nobody was hauling the manure wagon back then. They were all royalty.
Any explanation provided. Years later, the accounts of Vladimir Podreshetnikov were confirmed by Valery Malavany, a historian of special services and a retired FSB major general. He stated that archival records from the KGB indicate that in 1973, the area was subjected to an intensive security cordon, implemented in 3 concentric barriers. Not far from there, a lake harbored an island where additional graves were uncovered. Within these graves lay 2 more sarcophagi, each around 8 feet in length, bearing a striking resemblance to the original find. These sarcophagi were transported to Moscow and were estimated to be around 200 million years old.
Oh, at least that's more close for tetrapods. At least there'd be tetrapods around. Come on now.
Villagers were strictly instructed to keep silent about the incident.
Из архивных источников КГБ СССР мы знаем, что в 1973 году этот район был жестко оцеплен в 3 слоя заграждения. На острове посреди озера отрыли 2 могилы. 2 могилы, которым было по 200 миллионов лет.
So these must have been your younger
Reports
siblings.
indicate that mining operations continued in the quarry for a while, but only with newly assigned workers. Local residents were barred from entry. While some dismiss the story as a fabricated tale magnified by journalistic and public intrigue, others are convinced of its authenticity. Since everything about the discovery was classified and all physical evidence was confiscated and kept secret, we only have the reports of the still alive witnesses and the information disclosed.
You know, they always say eyewitness testimony is the best form of evidence, right? Or what is it? No, wait. This eyewitness testimony is the worst form of evidence. Sorry, I get that mixed up.
Disclosed by Valery Malavany. It's a fact that there really was a large coal mine near the village of Rjavchik during the 1960s, which was completely shut down in 1972 for unknown reasons. It's also worth noting that this area of Russia is where we can find the oldest coal deposits. It is believed that there were photographs and video recordings captured in the initial...
I don't think we have any 800 million year old coal deposits, though. I don't think it's possible to have 800 million year old coal deposits. That's why it's so bizarre to make that claim about where the sarcophagus was found. If they were mining coal, the surrounding rock was definitely not 800 million years old. If they're mining coal, the very, very oldest, it'd be maybe Devonian or Carboniferous. Perhaps Cambrian. I don't know if there's any Cambrian coal. Are there Cambrian coal seams? Let's see. Cambrian coal seams. Yeah, they're coral. Yeah. They're coral based, but yeah, there are Cambrian.
Moments of discovery and during preliminary examinations of the Teasel princess, yet they vanished from personal and institutional archives. Documents detailing the findings, notes taken by the researchers, and even samples of the preservation liquid were confiscated or destroyed. The government's role in the disappearance of evidence and the suppression of information only fueled...
I mean, the KGB is just as bad as the Smithsonian about disappearing supernatural evidence. Remember when Superman exploded and they took his corpse and hid it? That was in the Tunganista blast site.
Further speculation. The lack of transparency and the apparent effort to erase the discovery from public consciousness led many to question the motives behind the intervention. Was there something within the sarcophagus, or in the very existence of the Tissot princess, that posed a threat to the established historical narrative or to national security?
Or did somebody make up a story about maybe ice-aged find of a body and sort of spun it out from there?
Or was the suppression an attempt to monopolize knowledge that could offer unprecedented insights into human history and technology? The mystifying nature of the discovery, coupled with the government's heavy-handed efforts to obscure the facts, ignited the imaginations of people around the globe. Without tangible evidence to guide interpretations, the narrative of the Tissot princess became a canvas upon which a myriad of theories were painted, each offering a different explanation for her existence.
Yeah, but yours is just as much nonsense as any of these, right? As an explanation.
And the advanced technology that seemed to accompany her.
What advanced technology? You said that looked like there was an iPhone in there with her, and then we never followed up on that. We never went back and said, hey, now let's go back and find out. Now, when they removed the liquid, she melted, but we still had her iPhone. So we turned it on, and yeah, there's nothing to prove that was technology and not just some kind of grave offering.
One of the most prominent theories suggested the existence of a sophisticated ancient civilization, far predating any known societies.
По всем внешним признакам можно сказать, что она не инопланетянка, а скорее всего представитель древнейшей цивилизации, которая могла стать прародителем всего человечества.
Proponents of this
Mighty Whitey, that's the secret sauce, right? That the yeah, she had an iPhone with her, Sue. You missed that part, but that's the secret sauce, right? That this would prove that humanity has a white ancestry. That's the big rub.
The idea pointed to the advanced materials and techniques implied by the sarcophagus and preservation liquid as evidence of a lost culture with knowledge and technology far surpassing that of contemporary humanity. This civilization, they speculated, might have existed on Earth in a period when mainstream science believed the planet to be uninhabitable or only capable of supporting simple life forms. The Tissot princess, according to this theory, was a member of this ancient society, perhaps a figure of great importance, preserved for millennia through means lost to time.
Totally, she was a ancient princess of Atlantis. Some kind of cataclysm or something else has destroyed the civilization. Ooh, is that Atlantis? Might it be Atlantis? Are we back to Atlantis? We were at Atlantis last week.
Цивилизация погибла, и вот как раз она осталась напоминанием, что жизнь на Земле была до какой-то великой катастрофы. Придет время, и она проснется.
Others believe that the...
She ain't gonna wake up now. The Soviets melted her. Good job, guys. You melted our future queen. That's probably why things are so crappy right now. She was supposed to wake up about 30 years ago and bring us into utopia, but the Soviets melted her.
Dating of the discovery was wrong, that the princess was not 800 million years old, but around 50,000, which would still make the discovery groundbreaking. There are also those who speculate she might have been an extraterrestrial from a crashed spaceship, suggesting she could have been in suspended animation, with the metal box beside her.
I don't think you know what the word animation means, the way you keep saying it. Suspended animation would be like if you were leaping through the air and suddenly time froze and you were stuck there in suspended animation. Or even, you don't have to be doing anything. You can even sit there looking at your phone. Time freezes. You're in suspended animation. But when you're a corpse in a coffin, it's not suspended animation. It's just preservation.
Or serving as a timer for her awakening and a means to with the metal box ship, suggesting she could have been in suspended animation, with the metal box beside her serving as a timer for her awakening and a means to return to the surface. Supporters of
so they call it a metal box here, which, you know, my iPhone's mostly plastic. It's not metal, it's some glass. And I mean, there's probably a lot of copper and stuff inside here, but
this theory argued that the materials and methods used in her preservation were beyond human capability at any known point in history, suggesting an origin not of this earth. The seamless preservation and the material of her dress, together with the black box, which had no known counterparts in human technology, were cited as evidence of extraterrestrial influence. This theory often intersected with ideas of ancient astronaut visitations, which propose that human history has...
We got to get some ancient astronauts in here, right? We only got a minute left, like literally, not even a minute. We got 58 seconds left. Time to bring in the ancient astronauts.
Been periodically influenced by contact with alien civilizations. The questions raised by the disappearance of evidence and the silencing of witnesses remain unanswered, adding to the mystique of the Tisul princess. The absence of tangible proof and the efforts to discredit those who had seen the artifacts firsthand have transformed the discovery into a modern-day legend, a story that continues to captivate and provoke debate. What do you think about the Tisul princess? Tell us your theories in the comments below. If you want to learn about another incredible discovery from Siberia, you can watch our video on the Gornaya Shir...
Yeah, Tombs of the Giant. We're actually, you know, the thing about the Tisul princess, yeah, this is reported here. Some background and stuff, but I decided to watch that instead of reading it. But it's often conflated with this discovery, the Siberian Ice Maiden. The Siberian Ice Maiden, known locally as the Princess of Akok. Nice name. The Altai Princess, or how do you say that? Altai Princess. Divoshka and Oshibala, the heroine of the Atalic epic, is a mummy of a woman from the 5th century BC, discovered in 1993 in a kurgan belonging to one of the Pazarike burials from Pazarike culture in the Republic of Altai in Russia. It was among the most significant Russian archaeological finds of the late 20th century. In 2012, she was moved to a special mausoleum in the Republic National Museum in Gorno-Altalysk. The mummified remains of the Ice Maiden is a Scythio-Siberian woman who lived in the Eurasian steppe in the 5th century BC, was found undisturbed in a subterranean burial chamber. Natalia Polsmak and her team discovered the Ice Maiden during the summer of 1993. She was a senior research fellow at the Russian Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography in Novosibirsk. It was Polsmak's 4th season working on the Ukok Peninsula. So, I don't know if I'm going to get... is it Ukok Plateau? Where the Institute was continuing its research into early habitation of southern Siberia. Now, over 2 decades later, there are few English language sources available for the important discovery. Polsmak National Geographic article from October 1994, a BBC documentary from 1997, feature Polsmak, and members of her team are the most informative and accessible. The Ice Maiden was a representative of the Pazarike culture that thrived between the 6th and 2nd century BC in the Siberian steppes. The Ice Maiden's tomb was found in the Ukok Plateau near the border of Mongolia in what is now the Autonomous Republic of Altai. Oh, now it's doing that over here too. That's what it was doing in the other side too. we're going to continue to try to read on with it. I don't know if it's the... Check that out. It's flipping out. What you got going on? Anyway, this is the discovery that is often conflated with the Princess of Tsul. But, closing that, that's driving me crazy. But, check this out. She was a pothead. Mummy's MRI scans reveal 2,500-year-old Siberian princess died of acute breast cancer and smoked cannabis to dull the pain. Princess was preserved in the ice in an elaborate grave in the Altai Mountains. Remains suggest she had breast cancer for 5 years in her 20s. Her cause of death, however, may have been from injuries from a fall. She had injuries including a dislocated joint and fractured jaw. Experts suggest accident happened during a migration to a winter camp. Cannabis was buried with her, and she may have sniffed it while alive. Her ecstatic visions from cannabis may have allowed her to be considered some chosen being necessarily for and crucial for the benefit of society. The unique MRI scan on a 2,500-year-old mummified Siberian princess, they always call them princesses now, they're all princesses, every girl's a princess, we know this, has revealed that she died after suffering from acute breast cancer. Preserved in ice in an elaborate grave in the Altai Mountains, the ancient woman's, famous for her remarkable tattoos, took cannabis to dull the ravages of illness, experts have also discovered. Her use of the drug to cope with her illness may have given her an altered state of mind, leading her Pizarric culture kinsman to the belief that she could communicate with the spirits, said the Siberian Time. The high-tech scan was conducted in Novosibirsk by Russian scientist Andrei Ledyagin. Half this video is going to be me trying to pronounce these Russian names. Andrei Ledyagin and Andrei Savalov. They stated that we were dealing with primary tumors on the right breast and right axial lymph node with metastasis. So it's just showing where her cancer was discovered. Drugs from dug from the drugs. I got drugs on the brain. Dug from her permafrost burial chamber on the High Ukok Plateau in 1993. Analysis of her remains earlier highlighted sophisticated tattoos of great artistry of fantastical creatures, while in her tomb was also found clothing and a headdress, making a makeup bag, a stash of cannabis, enabling experts to build a detailed picture of her life and looks. Separate from the MRI, academics also concluded she was a virgin who lived deliberately celibate life. High-tech scan was conducted in Novosibirsk by Russian scientists Andrei Ledyagin and Andrei Savalov. Showed the princess had suffered as a child or adolescent from osteomyelitis. Osteomyelitis. Good grief. Osteomyelitis. An infection of the bone or bone marrow, and later from injuries consistent with falling from a horse. When she was a little over 20 years old, she became ill with another serious disease, breast cancer. It painfully destroyed her over perhaps 5 years, said a summary of the groundbreaking medical findings by archaeologist Professor Natalia Polismak, who first found these remarkable human remains. During the imaging of mammary glands, we paid attention to the asymmetric structure and the varying asymmetry of the MR signal, stated Dr. Ledyagin. we are dealing with primary tumors on the right breast and the right axial lymph node with metastasis. The three first thoracic vertebrae show a statistically significant decrease in MR signals and distortion of the contour, which may indicate the metastatic cancer process. Good grief, Bree. Read. Ha. Yeah, smoke to relieve the breast cancer pain. I kind of agree with that. He concluded, I am quite sure that in the diagnosis she had cancer. She was extremely emaciated, given her rather high rank in society and the information scientists obtained from studying the mummies of elite Pazariks. I do not have any other explanation for her state. Only cancer could have such an impact. Her actual death may have been from a secondary factor, possibly an injury from a fall from which she initially survived but was probably bedridden. And here's her remains. There's her cool tattoos. Here's an idea of what she looked like in life and how she dressed. Pretty cool stuff, though. But yeah, this story is often conflated with the Sissul Princess to make a larger, more comprehensive narrative, which it doesn't really fit. The story is super cool in and of itself and by itself. Let's see, metastases. There you go. Yeah. Sad, but yeah, this is but the Sissul Princess isn't the only one of these ancient tomb things. Like this one's from Iraq, but the body of Gilgamesh apparently, an Anunnaki tomb found in 2003. Gilgamesh and Enkidu, during the Iraqi war. Is that Gilgamesh? Is this Gilgamesh, or is it Enkidu? Yes, we get the fish and the decorations and all that, but there's no audio to this. Just other weird music, which I don't know if is actually safe for me to use. So I'm gonna turn it way, way down and say, this is what looks to be a wax figure in a replica coffin, but they're not alone. There's another one too. Check this one out. This one looks even more, not this one, but just a second. This one right here looks even more waxy. Homeboy's wax. Look at that. That's a wax sculpture. Not a real guy. I doubt that's real gold either. It looks like it might be wax as well. Yeah. These are molds. I mean, the crappy video quality helps to hide that, but you can, I mean, they're molded. They're wax molds. This is in a wax museum somewhere, right? And they go into different artifacts and stuff. He's touching him. Oh, showing some chest hair to prove that it's a real guy. Yeah. But as you can probably pick up on right now, most of the stuff is nonsense. This is from the Tales from Out There. This one was from Universe Inside of You, but both channels are oh, hold on. Not time for you yet, Boobie. Most of these channels are built upon nonsense and folklore and silliness. That's obviously fake. Yeah, I'm with you on that. They had chastity belts back then? Yeah, who knew? Yeah. I mean, if you disagree with me about any of this stuff, anybody thinks that the Tsul princess was a real alien or engineer or whatever, or that that she was part of some lost Atlantean civilization, that she was part of the precursor to the human race, the secret species. Let me know. I want to hear. Give me the evidence. Show me more. I couldn't find anything more on this than what we just looked through. Pretty flimsy stuff. Coming from, post-Iron Curtain reporting. But, I appreciate everybody who wants to give an opinion on it. So you give me yours, and I'll give you a response down below in the comments if you do. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, can you do that for me, please? It really does help out the channel. A comment does too. Comments help out the channel so much. If you say something just down below, like, Ice Princess or something, just whatever it takes. give me some love, because I'm in need right now. So appreciate you. Appreciate all the super chats I've gotten and stuff so far this morning too. Really love you guys. This is gonna wrap up the part where we get weird with it. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. Now don't go anywhere live from the Hive crew, because we have Boobies coming up. If you need to know about Boobies and we're interested in learning about Boobies, we got Boobies out the wazoo coming at ya. So you just wait and see. It's going to be a booby-demic. And did you think you might think you know a lot about boobies, but yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you what you really don't know. All right. After this interlude, don't go anywhere.
And I say, so what you're telling me is if I blow a hurricane through a junkyard enough times, over billions and billions of years, eventually after one of those hurricanes, there'll be a 747 fully loaded and ready to fly.
What he's talking about, one thing he's talking about biology here, in which case we're talking about like niche vacuums. So the tornado is the extinction event, right? The tornado comes through and wipes everything out. And then life starts to come back. So it's the space between the tornadoes that creates the new life. And at some point, one of those tornadoes came through and it wiped out some giant archosaurs, right? And this allowed these little scampering, warm-blooded mammals to have a chance. Tornado came through this little junkyard. These little tiny primates were able to start propagating and expanding and their ranges and moving into new niches and becoming more successful. Eventually, these little monkey guys even started to create their own technology, and that happened so fast. And eventually, they started taking aspects of other organisms on the Earth and trying to emulate them, like flight. So then they built machines that could fly, and eventually they invented this 747 or whatever that he's talking about here. So this tornado, which the last big tornado I guess would be the KPG extinction event, did come through our junkyard. The myriad of life on Earth, it did blast right through that junkyard. What was it, like 65% or something like that of life on Earth, where the iridium layer is, right? Where we can see on one side and on the other. So that iridium layer represents when the tornado came through. So the tornado came through the junkyard, and then as the organisms started to recover from that, and our little monkey hands started to want to build technology to fly, boom, the tornado in the junkyard did come through, and boom, we have 747s now. So yes, Ben Carson is right here. What happened, as long as we understand the metaphor, right? In the metaphor, the tornado is the extinction event, Earth is the junkyard, and the 747 is the result of the tornado coming through, wiping out the organisms that couldn't build 747s, and then letting the organisms that could propagate.
If it takes forever, I will wait for you for 1,000 summers. I will wait for you till you're back beside me, till I'm holding you, till
All right, my beauties and bees, it's that time. It's that time of the show where I get the boobies out. Who's ready? Who's been waiting for this all morning? Waiting for me to get these boobies out. Here we go. So check them out. This is probably what you think of when you think of a boobie. Right? This guy right here with his big blue feet. Uh-huh. Kind of dinosaur-y face. Got sort of a dinosaur-like appearance in general, but with big floppy webbed feet. Look at them. And they do the silly walk. This is what you think of when you think of a boobie. Now, this is a blue-footed boobie, which are the largest boobies, and they're indigenous to the Eastern Pacific, from the Gulf of California down to Chile, and they are well known from the Galapagos Islands. Now, the reason these are so famous is because this is the largest species, and they do some wicked dance moves as part of their mating ritual. But they aren't the only boobie. I didn't know if you guys knew this, but there's plenty of boobies. But we're going to just, real quick, I wanted to, beautiful, gorgeous. That's why they have big feet. They live like, they spend half their lives like a penguin. They're like a penguin, but with three, but instead, penguins are on land and water, and they're kind of awkward on land, but they're fast in the water. Boobies are awkward on land, fast in the water, and reasonably like seagull level flying skills in the air, which means they can soar and stuff, which is good. But the organization to make sure they get all their fish, boobies are really cool. And let's get down in the water with them. You want to see? They're like arrows that fire into the water and swim after the fish. Boom. Look at that. Boom. Shoom. Boobies. And these are blue-footed boobies too. I like blue-footed boobies because they're the biggest, but they're not my favorite. My favorite is the red-footed boobie, which is the one in the thumbnail. Now, looking through here, here's the blue-footed boobie. There's its range, it's specific. You got the brown boobie, which is neotropical, basically around the whole equator, except for the area of the Pacific where it would compete with blue-footed boobies. Even then, it's still in some regions. The masked boobie, very distinct, but the Nazca boobie is also very similar. These two look awful lot alike. And then there's a Peruvian boobie, which looks sort of like the brown boobie, but is, if you look, it's kind of inverted with the darker beak and lighter head. But he's got a darker head and lighter beak. But other than that, like the body colors and stuff are the same patterns. But my favorite is right here. It's the smallest boobie. It's the red-footed boobie. And I like it because it's not just, Sula Sula is not just red as opposed to blue. It has the blue too. It has the blue on the beak, and blue and pink and white, which are the trans flag colors, which I love. So this is, and it's going to act up too because Wikipedia is still doing its thing. But this is what they look like, right? I'm not going to mess with it right now. Whatever's going on with it. But so this is the red-footed boobie. Now, as you can see, they stay mostly tropical too. But every now and then, one will migrate out of its normal habitat. Check this out. This person's a birder. I hope that's fair use music.
One of the driving forces of birding is adding to our life list, a checklist of birds we've seen throughout our lifetime. But what makes it even more exciting is the chance to spot a rarity, a species that's uncommon in our region, state, or across North America. Today we're on a mission we've heard through the birders' grapevine that a rare bird has been spotted in Washington State just a couple hours from home. And today
All the way up in Washington State.
to get a glimpse of it. But the question is, will we find it?
If I was looking for boobies, I wouldn't go to Washington State. I'd go to Mexico. Just saying. That's some American crows. Ooh, that's a pretty ship. Would you climb up there? I always wanted to climb up a mast. Never been able to, but I always wanted to. On the lookout for boobies. Oh, a great blue heron. While skating to the beach, we noticed a large flock of gulls on the roof of the Marine Science Center. Okay. I see them too. Let's go check them out. I bet if you see other
Once
crowds
we
of
spot it,
people.
it'll be obvious because we're looking for a large tropical seabird that will definitely stand out amongst the usuals around here.
Yeah, climate change. There's a rock pigeon, or just a belted kingfisher. Purple martins. Aww. Them so cute.
It's been reported that our tropical seabird has been seen with flocks of Heerman's gull on rooftops as well as perched in the ship rigging where we looked
Heerman's
earlier
gull.
in the marina.
Where are you? No. More gulls. I like all the different colors the gulls come in, though. So
Because
pretty.
this bird is quite the celebrity, we anticipate a group of birders hoping to catch a glimpse. So that's another thing we'll be looking for too.
Where are you? I want to see you. Show me your boobie. I want to see it. Turn that music down a little bit. I'm worried. Look at that roof covered with feathers and guano. There it is! Ah! There it is! It's a baby! Looks like a female booby. She's so pretty though. Look at her pink beak. The females have pink beaks and feet. Sometimes they have little blue markings around their eyes, but the females do, but this one doesn't seem to. They look like dinosaurs. Think of it like a dinosaur, because its eyes
What brings
like
this
are
amazing
on the
bird
part of
so
its
outraged
beak.
all the way to Washington State? Well, that's a tale only this bird could tell you, and what a story that would be.
Say climate change? Ah. You're a good booby. Good booby. I love you, Mr. or Mrs. Booby. I shouldn't assume. Oh, so neat. I think the seagulls think the booby is a weirdo. It's just like following him around. Like, what's up with this booby that's hanging out with us like it's one of our flock? There he did. She goes doing the booby thing. The booby dive. They fly kind of like albatrosses, in a way. I like the way they dive, though. Such a pretty bird. you've climbed quite a few masts or been up in a bosun's chair, it's usually because something's fucked up somehow, like a halyard's guide. Oh. Let's see. Seabird experts quickly identified this red-footed booby as a 2-year-old, 14 to 18 month intermediate morph, a white morph with dark feathers. This one is a rare color morph with the all brown back. Christmas Island, also known as Kiritmati, is the best guess for the origins of this bird. Yeah, so it's still pretty young. The Herman's gulls will soon migrate south to Mexico and exclusively nest on Isla de Rosa. There's hopes that the red-footed booby will follow the migration flow south. A southbound booby from the Pacific Northwest will have lots of company among other pelagic seabirds southbound to Mexico, Hawaii, Chile, and New Zealand. New Zealand? Isn't that crazy? Fly all the way from Washington State to New Zealand? Oh, we're not gonna play your music. I'm afraid of licensed music. I'm sorry, but I love your booby. Yeah, you can kind of see the blue around the eye there. Some of the pictures, yeah, there you can really see the blue around the eye. This is why I like the red-footed booby better than the blue-footed booby, because it's blue, red, and white.
Birding is so much more than ticking off a checklist. It's about moments like this, when nature surprises you.
Congratulations on getting the booby.
Special. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you on our next outdoor adventure.
Alright, and that was JC Journey doing birding and outdoor stuff. So, yeah, I like boobies. Careful typing booby into Google. Yeah. I'm very much enjoying the booby footage. Yeah, you're welcome. Always. Oh no. I'm playing. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. I was playing that over the outro thing. Didn't mean to do that. I do not understand the birding hobby. I'll feed the bird. I'll feed the burbs. I like that, but I don't get burbing. It's like collecting sightings, of trying to collect a sighting of every bird that lives in your area. I get it. It makes sense to me. There's things I want to see in North America that I haven't got to see yet. There's a lot of North American species that I haven't got to see in the wild. I've only in the last 10 years have I seen any of the Western U.S. species, and I saw a mountain sheep, a bighorn sheep. I saw pronghorns. Saw jackrabbits. Saw camel spiders. What else did I see? I don't know. There's been a lot of things that I had, like I guess the species of Grand Canyon squirrels and stuff like that. Prairie dogs in the wild. I hadn't seen those before. I love them. I want to go see the prairie dogs. I did not get to see the roadrunner, though. I wanted to see a roadrunner, and I didn't get to see one. I was kind of sad. I did get to see a jackrabbit, though, which I love jackrabbits and their big giant ears. Jackrabbits are so cool. So, hopefully, on my new adventures in life, I will get to see more creatures. What do you think? It'd be pretty cool, huh? Well, I appreciate everybody sticking around with me. This has been Bree's Bestiary, and we talked about boobies today. Please remember to be kind. Take care, and we'll see you next time. I noticed I was starting to ramble and didn't want to end the show with a local ramble, but yeah. hopefully I'll be able to see a roadrunner or a bobcat or bison and things like that I don't get to see around here. I hope so. Hoping to expand my perspective of the world around me. Oh. I don't know why I'm so tired. All I've been doing is sleeping all week. Sleeping. Thank you so much for sticking around. I am probably going to go. I'm going to start doing this regularly. I'm going to go into the Discord. And I'm actually going to go into the Transpositions Discord again because it was easier to do it that way. And I'm just going to go into the general voice chat over there. So if you're a member of the Transpositions Discord server, you can come hang out with me every Saturday morning every Saturday afternoon for, however long after Live from the Hive. So afternoon, usually sometimes the show ends between 11:45 and 12:30 sometime, depending on how long the segments run. Like we went over 15 minutes on the Lucy section. So that's why we're 15 minutes over at the end of the show right now. Otherwise, it's usually noon is my goal. But every Saturday, I'm going to go over there and hang out for just a little bit at least. Talk to everybody, keep life updates going and whatnot. So I will see you guys there if you're coming over. But regardless, let me pull up the schedule for the show so you all know what to expect, okay? So this coming Wednesday, we got Fear of Feminization, where we had Chad Prather and Jake Tran really scared of soy and feeling super feminized and terrified that touching women will make them into women somehow by absorbing estrogen. It's really a weird take. That's next Wednesday. Next Friday, we're gonna talk about my baby Bigfoot because it's time to discuss how to raise the little scamp, and whether or not we've got good resources, we'll wait and see. But we are gonna find out how to raise that baby Bigfoot. October is looking good, though. We got all kinds of fun stuff coming up in October, and I've just started editing for November. I am fully intending on getting, and you watch for dates, but getting the whole show stacked up for up through the end of the year, just to make sure I have content prepared that's out there. Honestly, earning revenue, I'm not, because my financial situations are kind of taking a sharp curve. So, making sure I'm bringing in some kind of revenue. So, if you want to be part of the Hive, you can join. There's a join button, and you can join at any level and help support me in what I'm doing here. Help keep my my train on the tracks. I also have a Patreon. I'll be honest with you, I haven't paid as much attention to it as I should. I may need to start giving it more attention now. I'm thinking about featuring my my cryptid phylogeny. So I on Facebook I have a page where I create I create like alternative evolutionary histories for cryptids, and they have to fall into a modern family of organisms. So that's the way I do it, and it's fun. And it's just like AI art, nature art and stuff, but it's really fun. So if you like that, I believe I'm gonna start keeping those narratives on Patreon. So those will be patron exclusives with maybe some sneak peeks here and there in the channel's community page. But if you want to see them all, you want to see all the creatures that I've created, you'll need to come on Patreon to check that out. And we have a Patreon for transpositions too. So that's helping us all, because we're all, times are rough for the trans folks right now. Anyway, I force them into phylogenies. It's what I do. You'll see. I actually thought about making a channel of that before I started doing the transpositions. just like a Spec Evo channel where I give a phylogenetic history of different cryptids. I've done, mostly it's been really American centric, but I've done the Appalachian devil monkeys, and I did I did do one Australian when I did Mungo Joe, which is the last drop bear species of giant koala from West. Well, there's different species or different subspecies that were different sizes, but the Western Australian drop bear were the biggest. What else have I done? I've done Ozark Howler, which is pretty simple, but it's one of my favorites because I've been working on its history, building its fictional geography since I was a kid. So, in fictional phylogeny and life history, they were large species of a large subspecies of bobcat that took hold in the Ozark and Appalachian mountains. And there was a trend towards melanism among the group, especially in the West, and the Great Lakes region as they were settled. They wiped out the Appalachian subspecies, so only a relict population remains in the Ozarks, which we call the Ozark Howler, and they're large lynx-sized bobcats that have a large portion of the population with melanism. That's the story for that one. So just to give you an idea what kind of stuff I'm doing, yeah. But it's all written out in like a life history science book. So I'll be throwing that at you. So if you like that, please consider joining the Patreon, and we will discover life history of cryptids together. Transpositions this week, we will be missing Carly. We may be missing Steph. I should be here. I don't think we have a guest host yet set up for this week, though Steph's got Josie set up to come on soon. I think we got Arden Hart coming on soon as well. Can't thank you enough for the raid you did for us last week. Arden really bumped up our numbers, so appreciate that. But we have lots of cool guests. Last week we had Luxander. It was a great guest, and I learned a lot from it. So we've had Nominal Naomi, we've had Phoebe J. Rose, we've had some great guests on like Sarah Weiss, like Alana McLaughlin. I keep saying McLaughlin like Sarah McLaughlin. We have all the cool kids coming and hanging out. So that's in the Transposition server. So come check that out as well. We're all hanging out over there, working on our show. Building a news organization is the goal over there. Bringing a news organization for trans people, by trans people. For us, by us. If you're interested in that, drop a like, drop some love, show some love, give a thumbs up. Pick a fight with one of our chuds in our comment section. I love seeing you guys dunk on our idiot commenters, because we get a lot of hate over there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this show up here, and I'll see everybody or anybody who decides they want to show up over in the Discord server for the Transpositions. All right, please remember to be kind and take care, and we'll see you next time.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to the Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today. The link is in